Thursday Night Rewind presented by Deschutes is live. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a Midwestern Bash. The Minnesota Wind Chill and the Indianapolis AlleyCats, a 2019 game that I think went down as one of the games of the year. I am joined by a couple guys who've got a combined 13 years of AUDL experience, over 4,000 completions between them, from the Minnesota Wind Chill, Josh Klane, and from the Indianapolis AlleyCats, Travis Carpenter. Josh, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm great. Excited for this evening. This is a game that I did not call personally, so I'm really excited to dive deep into it with you guys and get your analysis and perspective. But before we dive into Ultimate, Travis, I chatted with you on Instagram Live a few weeks back. I believe you were maybe my first ever guest. It was really an honor to have you. You were doing well then. Is life still all right in Indy?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you again. It's going to be a fun night. Yeah, things are going well here in Indy. And I'm excited to watch some Ultimate. It feels good to do something Ultimate related again.
Yes, indeed. Well, before we get into the game, let's set the stage a little bit, because obviously last year the Midwest Division was chaos. I mean, anybody could beat anybody, with the obvious caveat of Detroit, but them excluded. No disrespect, I'm just speaking facts. Anybody could beat anybody on any given day, and it seemed like everything was even. So, I mean, going into this game, one team's 5-3, the other's 5-4. You're all within a half game of first place with a month to go in the regular season, or less than that. Josh, how did the nature of the race kind of shape your perspective going into this game and just throughout the season, with all the teams being so tightly packed?
Yeah, it was a really interesting season because we had a huge win at Madison, and then I think the next week we ended up losing to Indy, I believe, at home, and so it was just it was a roller coaster every week. It was something new, and we kind of put ourselves in a little bit of a hole. We lost a couple games to Chicago, I think. And so this was kind of a do or die, it felt like, for us going forward. I don't think we were out of it after this game, but it was definitely a very important game for us.
Travis, how did the nature of the division force you to approach games differently, perhaps, than you had in years past?
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely nuts. It was definitely unlike any year I've ever been in the AUDL. We've never had something like that where it was just such a toss-up between so many teams. I really enjoyed it, though, because it felt like it kept our focus up. It kept our team constantly on our toes. There was never a time where we'd go into a game where, like, oh, we can, like, relax a little more in this one, or, like, maybe, like, so-and-so doesn't have to play as much. And so I felt like it made us stronger. It made us better because we're constantly being stress tested, and our best guys are constantly having to get like crucial reps together. So I absolutely loved it, and it forced us to train harder because we knew full well that was the situation. We didn't see it as a fluke. We didn't see it as a coincidence. We're like, there are just truly 4 or 5 teams in this division that are essentially the same skill level. Like that's how we saw it, and that's how we treated it. So we're like, at this point, it's just going to be who works harder is gonna be who wins the division. So that was kind of the attitude we had in practice and in our training. And in this game in particular, we went into it with kind of a clean slate. I think it would have been easy for us to relax a little bit because we had beat Minnesota, like Josh said, at their place a few weeks back. But that game was so weird. The weather conditions were some of the worst I've ever played in an AUDL game.
By far.
13-11 was the final score of that game.
Yeah.
It was awful. It was miserable.
It was
Josh,
so tough
I remember
to
emailing you, I think, after that game, and you were just like, I don't take anything from this game. It was a total outlier. It doesn't matter. I was just ready to have beers and put it behind me immediately.
Yeah. No, it was actually a really cool venue. That was the game that we got to play at the new Vikings practice facility.
Right.
And it's like this little stadium that's really awesome. And Hopefully we'll be back there in future years. But man, that was just miserable weather. But like, I mean, Indy braved the environment much better than we did. And you got to give them credit for that. But I was very happy to be done.
Sorry, I'm distracted. They just announced the New England Patriots schedule on my TV, so I didn't get a close look at it. But Bill Belichick is he's a great man. We got a Midwestern flavor in terms of our attendance so far tonight. Just to run off a few names that I see: Kevin Brown from the Madison Radicals. Travis, your teammate Keegan North is here. In terms of wind chill, we got Ben Feldman and Brandon Mattis and Brian Vinoka and Dylan DeClerc, Rick Gross and Cameron Brock are here representing the Indianapolis AlleyCats. And, Cameron Brock has already given Travis some junk in the chat. Travis, are you saying that Minnesota didn't work as hard as Chicago, Pittsburgh, or Indy?
Yeah, that's right. No, I know Klane's working super hard. So, like, both Chicago and Minnesota, I have like quite a few like buddies on both of those teams, and so anytime we're about to play Chicago or Minnesota, like Klane or Thomas Eccles or something will be like texting me and stuff and like giving each other crap or like saying like, we're gonna destroy you for X reason, or we just this player is looking really good and stuff like that. So it's fun to have that little like banter and just like trash talk before the game or whatever. So no, I know they're working super hard, but sometimes it's really, really, really marginal when it comes to that stuff. Each rep gives you the opportunity to get better, and anyone can win a rep. Anyone can win a drill. So who knows? Maybe we won more drills, more reps than they did practice.
Maybe. Before we get to the game, obviously this one was at Indy last June. Josh, you guys are driving down from Twin Cities to Indy. What are the key points of the game plan that you're thinking about? Obviously, I mean, this is an indoor game, so that's a different, flavor than any other AUDL game you played all season. You had played Indy once before, but this would inevitably be a game with literally twice as much scoring as that miserable day in Minneapolis. So keys to the game for the wind chill were what?
We had one key to the game. And I don't know if Travis knows this, but get the Canadians to the game. So that was all we were focused on because their flight was canceled to Chicago or to Detroit or something. I forget. And so they had to go through Chicago, rent a car, drive all the way from Chicago with limited time. And so they ended up getting there 5 or 10 minutes before game time.
Wow.
And we were already a little short-handed.
Who are we talking about? Who was in this car that was getting there right before the game?
Some important players as well. Cam, Quinn, Matt Ladyman, I believe. I think one or two of the Canadians were not there, but definitely some key pieces to our team. And so before this, I mean, obviously, it was an important game. We were looking to make a statement and kind of get a win back on Indy, but it's always an interesting environment at Indy, and so we were looking to have fun and see what happens.
Travis, AlleyCats, keys to the game going into this one. What did Coach Leonard emphasize in the pregame meeting?
Well, so whenever we play Chicago or Minnesota, I don't think it's necessarily a secret that I reveal this. We have a game plan. It was originally named after Pavel, but we use the same thing for Klane. We run a defense called Pavel not Pavel. So whenever a really deadly thrower has the disc, we clog the lane as much as possible. We take away all their throwing options, and we give them a free pass, even if it's a gain of yards, to somebody else, and we force that person to make more passes. So one game was do not let Klane throw it upfield. Make him swing.
Weird. That didn't really happen that game.
Yeah, we kind of failed a few times, and I'll be pointing that out. And I'm sure both Leonard and I'm sure we reviewed this film and we're pretty frustrated at times when we failed to do that when reviewing it. But that was part of the goal. The other one was to really, really value the disc on offense. That was one of the it was a recurring theme for us all year that we were in years past. We gave up the disc way too much on offense. And I know Minnesota, you guys huck a lot in this game and it works really well. But in the past, I wouldn't say you guys are necessarily a huck heavy team. There's been a lot of times where you guys are like actually really patient, especially when you and Cheetah were handling together. You guys would really work the disc really nicely and just felt like you guys valued the disc a lot on offense. So we're like, they're going to score a lot. There's going to be times we just can't. So like, have to make sure that we do not give them easy opportunities, give their D-line easy opportunities to break us.
Yeah. And the indoor environment for sure, like throwers, it's perfect for throwers, you know. It's just, you know, you look upfield and, you know, you're ready to jack it deep for sure.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
the stage
absolutely.
has been set. Let's dive into the opening moments of the game. Thursday Night Rewind presented by Deschutes. Evan Lepler, Josh Klane, Travis Carpenter. Thrilled that you've decided to join us on this Thursday night. And from this indoor facility in Indianapolis, you can see the standings, just how close everything was coming into this game. I mean, the top 4 teams separated by a half game. The top 5 teams separated by 1 game, 2/3 of the way through the season. I know there were a lot of people rooting. There were a lot of people rooting for like a 5-way tie for first place, and let some poor sap at the AUDL office try to work out that tiebreaker. But obviously, that did not come to fruition.
Ben Feldman was definitely on top of all the different scenarios that could have happened.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Hey, Travis.
So nuts just looking at that.
Hey, Travis.
What's up, bro?
I thought we talked about you shaving your mustache last night because there's kids watching this program. What happened with that?
I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best to compete with you. I know I'm a few steps behind. I'll get there one day. Just relax.
Okay. Just making sure. There's kids watching. I'm just you know. Just letting you know.
Hey, I was told this isn't supposed to be here. This is what I was told, so I just left it all here.
This is a facial hair judgment-free zone, Josh. Okay, you know we
I'm
all
sorry,
can't
Travis.
have as smooth looks as you.
Can we get a poll up maybe in the chat? Like, do we like Travis's mustache or not?
Hey, it's a little more. I got a little bit of.
I see that. That grew overnight for sure.
Minnesota working the disc well in the handler space.
Hey, Klane, tell me about the wind chill D-line.
Minnesota looking to break here early.
We had a very interesting D-line. A lot of different pieces that we didn't get a ton of practice together because we had a lot of out-of-town players. But I loved our D-line last year. We very patient, like the announcers are talking about, but really scrappy. Brennan McCann right here, who's about to go up line, was just phenomenal. One of my favorite teammates ever. He's now playing for he was just, I mean, he was living in Michigan, I think, and he would rarely practice with us, but he'd show up as one of the most committed guys every weekend. A leader on that D-line, so positive, just fit in like seamlessly, and just a phenomenal player. And I mean, he was a big reason. I don't know if we don't have him last year. I think maybe there's 1 or 2 games that we wouldn't have won.
That's interesting because he only played 6 games.
Yeah. Yeah, I love him. Brennan, if you're watching, I love you. Come back.
Yeah, and I have to take.
Yeah, you mentioned he's on to another team. He's signed with the Boston Glory to be on their inaugural roster.
They're going to be very happy to have him.
For the AlleyCats.
So, Travis, the AlleyCats broken on the first point. Just an unforced error, a drop from Rick Gross. Looks like Coach Leonard went with a fresh 7 on the field.
Yeah, you see here, he didn't really hesitate to switch in our D-line. Coach was definitely very willing to do that a lot this year. I think kind of for 2 reasons. One, just to keep us fresh all game, because you saw on that point, Minnesota's –
Oh, God.
See ya.
Mitchell.
Could have went up 2-0. You could have had us on the ropes. That would have won you the game right there.
That was a huge D by Matsuka. Huge D.
Yeah. But yeah, so we noticed like a lot of times we would snowball too much if we left our O-line in too much in past years. So we tried to change that this year and make sure they stayed fresh, so that way later in the game there wouldn't be as many snowballs. So, and honestly, props to our D-line. There was a bunch of this season where that happened to us. O-line was a little down, a silly mistake, and they came right in. They were super patient, ran our offense very nicely, punched it in. And that gave our whole team a lot of confidence. It gave our O-line more confidence, gave us an extra point to rest. So I was at first a little nervous, skeptical about the idea of stepping in our D-line so much, but they really did really well. They pulled through in a lot of situations this year.
Are we sure this game was indoors? Because you guys have turned it over 3 times before scoring. I'm wondering if it's really windy.
Yeah, it's
there
a rough
was a few
start.
gusts, you know.
There's actually just like 200 ceiling fans that are blowing really hard down.
They turn them on when the wind chill, the opposing team is on offense.
I'll bring up a couple examples of this later. But one thing you'll notice when you play indoors like this is kind of a trap. It makes you can throw any point. You get overly confident with the disc, and it's more of like a mental game to actually pick the right throw. So my experience, there's been just as many turns in our indoor games as our outdoor, because people are naturally safer with the disc outdoors.
Absolutely. So Travis, did you have kind of a rule? So like if your O-line gets broken, you go right to the D-line next point? Did you kind of have
not always? It wasn't 100% set. I think it was more of a judgment call by coach, and there were times where he'd leave us in, but it was only if like the point was super quick and the mistake was something that was just like really weird. Like if it was us like not running the system properly or like really poor decision making, we'd get subbed off for sure. But if it was like he dropped the first pass and then the D-line immediately turns around and scores it in 5 seconds, then he would just leave us on for something like that.
Yeah, we kind of adopted that philosophy, and unless it was a total fluke, I think it was probably more than you guys, but unless it was a total fluke of a point, if O-line gets broken, we sub in the D-line or the offensive D-line. And that's another thing about our D-line is although on defense, they didn't always have great offense after a turn, they were lights out when they stepped on after we got broken. And they had to have been like 95% plus completion or scoring percentage in those situations for the season. So that was a huge bright spot of our D-line.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so nice to have.
Oh,
I thought he was
Cam's really fun.
Sure.
Klane gets the disc again.
How many times a game would you say Cam Burden?
John Jones defending in the downfield space.
Say that again. Sorry.
How many times per game on average does Cam Burden huck it? I feel like he doesn't huck. He's not much of a shooter.
He picks and chooses his shots. He'll have like a 40-50 yard huck once or twice a game for sure.
Oh, okay.
He's so effective. He is just so good, so fast. He's always in the right spot. I love handling with him.
Klane,
yeah, he's impressive.
Was there any adjustment going from kind of cheetah in the backfield to Burden? I mean, they're both really good.
Yeah, no. I think they're really similar. They're really, really similar in how dynamic they are and how, you know, it kind of pairs nicely with me because I'm not as dynamic of an athlete. So it really works. And I've, you know, I mean, obviously I was handling with Cheetah forever through college and whatnot. But man, like within 2 practices, me and Cam had a lot of chemistry, and it was just like instant chemistry. He's super easy to play with. He's incredible high IQ on the field. So, and same with Jesse too. We just us 3 as handlers just meshed really nicely last year. That was a really enjoyable part of the year for sure. I love those Canadians.
Yeah, they're good, man. Yeah. They're real good. Not gonna lie.
They were really nice.
I think you saw there was just really good.
Yeah, the Winnipeg community too just really loves the wind chill. They we brought a bus to one of our home games, or they brought a bus for one of our home games.
It was the Chicago game that we were there for.
Yeah, and so that's really cool. And they
not
like
close.
7 and no, not that close. 7.5, 8 hours maybe.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and these guys are driving. These guys are driving in for practice weekends and games, and I think there's obviously a few weekends that they flew, but including this one. But no, they're spending a lot of time in cars to play for us. So
right there is an example of the indoor trap guys.
How is it
on the
right now?
How is it what?
Yeah, well, not only is it 2-1, but we haven't had a turnover-free point.
Yeah, the first quarter is messy. It is not good. Once it gets to the second quarter, that's when it starts becoming like just like a shootout.
Are we sure this isn't the 13? We sure this isn't the 13-11 game? We're sure.
It's on pace to be.
Yeah.
Fella hits Matsuka on the inside.
Here's where you gotta try to protect all the throws. You never know what's gonna come.
So we got to talk about Brett Matsuka, who's kind of the tiny elephant in the room right here. You know, AlleyCat last year signed with Minnesota. Travis, what was it like playing with Brett? And I mean, do you have any message you like to look into the camera and deliver to Brett about, you know, how you'll never forgive him and how that sort of thing for abandoning you? Or
I can't do that because that was our own doing.
Ooh, nice catch.
So first of all, I love Brett. Brett is awesome. He's a good friend of mine. We played on Machine a couple years together. And then every for the last season for AlleyCats, every time he came in for an event, a game, or a practice weekend or something, he would stay at my place and hang out here with us. And so yeah, we're good friends. I really just like Brett a lot as a person. And as a player, my first year in Elite Club Ultimate was 2015 with Chicago Machine, and that was like maybe Brett's best year ever as an Ultimate player. He was like the apex handler for the O-line that year, and I was like the second string D-line player just trying to figure things out. So I watched him from the sideline a lot, and I had to guard against him and the other O-line players and practice a lot. And it was so tough playing against him, and I was just like amazed at his throws. But most importantly, like whenever I was trying to do some recruiting, because I do a lot of our recruiting in the off season, Tim Held, our owner, said like, I really want to get like at least like one like big star player this year. Like I really want to go after someone. I'm willing to do, you know, make the logistics happen. And Brett came to my mind. I was like, I know Brett likes to travel around and play for different teams. He's never played an Indy before, so that might be kind of appealing to him to play for totally new. Yeah, and I was just like, and I miss playing with Brett, so I'm just like, I'm going after him. So called Brett up, and I was like, dude, you should come play Indy this year.
Brett's so good. He's so good, and he's one of the funniest guys. I'm sure you can attest to that, Travis. But he is.
Oh yeah.
He has been such a good. He's just been such a good addition to our team already. And man, he's probably my least favorite player to guard in practice.
He keeps things so light, and he like everyone just on the team has more fun whenever he's around. Something I will never forget is whenever we were away. We had an away game at Pittsburgh, and we got a rain lightning delay, and we had to go into the locker room for like 45 minutes and wait for the lightning to pass. And Brett just organized a game of knockout. You guys know like the knockout basketball game where you have to like get a big line and you shoot behind each other. He organized the same thing, but with a couple Gatorade bottles and a trash can. And next thing you know, like 5 minutes in, like 90% of our team is playing. There's like a line going through the entire locker room. People are yelling and like going nuts and like sprinting, like diving for the bottles to go in the trash can. And he just like created such a fun environment in the midst of like a situation where we're just like bummed, and we won that game.
Who won the knockout game?
Yeah, who cares about the game?
Brett definitely won one. Levi Jacobs won one time, and he got really close to winning 2 other times. I think Levi was probably the best overall knockout player on the team. Him and that Gatorade bottle, man, he was feeling it.
Brian Vanuka comes down with it in the end zone for Minnesota.
Finally, we have a turnover-free offensive hold.
Yeah, look at this.
Yeah, quick point.
About time.
Minnesota works it to the far side of the field.
Nice throw.
And that is a goal.
Wait, this is an offensive point. Oh, that's an interesting O-line that we had out there.
Well, I think you had gotten broken, previously. So
Minnesota
Coach Feldman
There we go.
had to make a change.
There we go.
Broken a few times in a row.
The second time today.
Yeah, I forgot how ugly the start of this game was.
This is my gaming headset. I play video games a lot. This has the best sound quality.
What games do you play, Travis?
Fortnite and Rocket League are the two I play the most right now. Probably the game I play the most in my life, though, is Halo. That's my favorite, for sure.
You ever play some Mario Party?
Oh, I love Mario Party. And the new ones are pretty sick, too. A lot of the little mini games and stuff are pretty awesome.
Keegan North with the disc. Short throw to Keenan.
Maybe some
This is the part of the conversation where I feel really old. I feel really old right now during this part of the conversation. I played Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3 on original Nintendo. And
hey,
that's kind of my wheelhouse.
Like 10 seconds and redo that hammer. Look how fast this hammer is. Like, it's just he's so confident. He's like off of 1 foot. It's just like so immediate. Oh my gosh, like straight to his chest. It's just he just catches it, and like Keegan is like the most chill player you will ever meet. Like nothing rattles him. He just rocks it out. I mean, it's just crazy how he just like is so even keeled the whole time. Like, I'm a very emotional player, so I'm not like that at all. Sometimes you don't even know if like Keegan's even like there focused, and then all of a sudden he gets the disc and does something like that. Like, I really need it. So it's crazy.
Keegan is one of my favorite players in Ultimate to watch, to play against. I mean, I don't match up. We're rarely matched up on each other, but he's like, I mean, Max Shepard's the same way. It's just, and the Thorns, just very smooth, just like very calm, smooth, collected. He's good. He's really good.
Yeah,
who's the toughest matchup in the Midwest Division?
Josh Klane with the disc in the center.
The old Midwest Division.
Klane hits the around to Michael Jordan.
Like one-on-one or team?
Yeah, last year, individual. He was the toughest guy to match up with in the division.
You know, I think he was tough. Max Shepard was. We didn't have an answer for him. Honestly, Travis's game we didn't have an answer for either. So, yeah, I'd say probably Raider, Travis, Max, probably.
Quinn had some games where he was in that conversation too for you.
Absolutely.
Quinn was lights.
Absolutely.
Just scored actually.
Yeah, he scores a lot.
He has 2 plays in particular in this game: a huge layout and a huge sky that were both like so impressive. I didn't think he was going to get either of them. I can't wait for those plays to come up because they are just nasty.
Yeah, both of those I just threw up. I just threw it up there and hope they come down.
Oh, you threw them both? Yeah, of course you did. Of course you throwing up the garbage passes.
I got a lot of trust in Quinn.
Because he just immediately starts taking off. Defenders already a few steps behind, and he just keeps running all the way around past the foreside.
Yeah, I think right now is when the game starts to get in a little bit of a flow.
Especially with none of the other cutters moving, just gives them a lot of free space to get open for a goal.
Hey Travis, do you think that was this Keegan's first year?
All right, Indianapolis receivers.
No, at least second, maybe third. I think second.
I think second too. Do you think that? Do you think what was the biggest factor in like getting you guys over the hill and winning the division? Do you think? I mean, in my opinion, I think Matsuka and Keegan specifically kind of gave you a different dimension than in previous years. But what do you think?
They helped a lot. Kind of someone that doesn't show up on the stats as much that helped a ton is actually Alex Henderson. He's number 0 there on the field right now. We kind of consistently had a problem. It's like 2 or 3 years straight where we would have 2 really good O-line handlers, and we couldn't seem to find a third person to go with them that was like on the same wavelength or like really like was thinking the same way and like could react quite as fast and things like that. And like the offense just never was really that smooth until this year. And Alex, I think, was the only change to our O-line because the other 6 players were on the O-line the previous year and maybe the year before. But Alex was such a good job.
Pause, Travis. Can we rewind this?
Resetting the disc.
How is this not a foul?
Yeah.
How is this not a foul?
No cuts really coming. Brennan McCann gets the disc.
I don't think that's a foul. I think he was arguing a strip.
No call.
I think McCann is arguing a strip.
McCann begging for a call,
which I can't see that from this angle.
Deep throw.
I guess the second time I saw it, it was less.
Whoa.
Regardless, classic mistake. You can't do this in AUDL. You can't sit there and whine about a call. Like,
that's
you got to be bigger than that, and you got to be more focused than that. So that was.
Luke, can we see that buzzer beater again?
Yeah, it looks like
was this the sky push pass combo from Gross?
No call.
You know, I didn't see a lot of.
McCann begging for a call, but none comes.
I didn't see a lot of this from Gross this past year.
Between 3 defenders, comes up with it.
He's so hyped. He's so pumped up. I love it. Such a nice. Yeah. Okay. So
now was Rick in the end zone when he caught this?
No, he was not. We all knew. Like we came back and we were like, yeah, that's not a score.
Yeah. Just outside of the end zone.
But just so people are aware of this. Rick had a fairly bad injury in the offseason. We have a tournament local here in Indy it's like 2 days after Christmas every year. It's like a really popular indoor tournament, and like most of the good players from around here go. And Rick got hurt pretty bad in that tournament, and so he wasn't able to train for the season up until like a couple weeks before the first game. So he was not even close to the normal shape that he's in. He wasn't able to do any strength training. He wasn't able to like be as well conditioned as usual. He put on a few pounds because of that as well. So he wasn't like he was like basically like working to catch up through the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
But he was kind of forced to be a different type of player. He was forced to be smarter. He was forced to throw the disc more because of injury. You know, uncontrollable, which he did a really great job. I mean, he was still so efficient and he was such a great teammate. But he wasn't, like skying people every point like he was the year before, just because his conditioning level wasn't the same.
I was wondering because we definitely noticed that he was kind of he wasn't the same player athletically of previous years. Like previous years, I would put him against anybody athleticism, like in the air, anybody, maybe except Babbitt. And but other than that, like he was so good in the air, and last year just looked like he was a little different. So that makes sense that he was injured.
Yeah, he's one of those players. A lot of teams have the disc goes up in the air, and you got a couple people under it, and you're just like, oh yeah, my guy's coming down with this. Like anytime that was Rick chasing down a deep pass for like 3 years straight, it was just like, oh yeah, Rick's got this one.
Except for that one time I skied him. You know what I'm talking about.
Letting that go. The poor guy was just trying to keep you safe, and you rub it in his face.
No, I tried to get for 2 straight years. I tried to get Rick to play Sub-Zero. It didn't work.
Oh man! So this play here, I would mind looking at this one too. If you go back, I don't know why your defender is even/under with Cam. Like, look at his positioning here. Why is he giving him the outcut when he's near the end zone and he has no help? That's one of those things where it's just like, that, you just got to play smarter than that. Like, he's, you know, you can't, like, that's Cam's thing. He goes getting scores. So there's some points throughout this game on both sides, both of us. And we do it, we mess it up several times with you, Josh, when you get off hucks, is it's like some points could be taken back if someone was just, like, using their head and not just their legs. Like, they were actually, like, playing smart. Like, there's no reason you should be guarding Cam with that body positioning there. Makes no sense.
Also, but I think it also goes the other way on the back end of that play, is that Jimmy probably has a great chance to poach that, you know. So, like, so Isaac was on him. Isaac, if you're listening, listen to Travis. Don't do that to Cameron Brock. But I mean, if maybe Isaac was expecting someone to help him from the back, Jimmy, it looked like could have definitely made more of an effort to get in that space and make that throw tougher. So, but totally agree.
That's true. Jimmy was usually really, really good about help D, and he does a few times in this game too. So I wasn't surprised he didn't pull off on that one.
He cleans up the slot. Oh, here it is. Here's Travis.
Spencer Lascar has a
boom!
Oh my gosh. That guy was so nasty.
That's an indoor throw right there.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to get that farther to the corner. It was definitely came up a little short there.
So Spencer, the guy guarding him, is kind of an unsung hero on the AlleyCats as well. He is such a hard worker. He's so athletic. He always takes difficult matchups, and I felt like Spencer played that the best he could. He positioned himself great, got a good jump, and Snyder still whipped it down. Like, there are certain plays whenever I teach people stuff on defense, a lot of times I tell them, I was like, there are just certain plays, I call them tip your hat plays. You just see him make up like, all right, good job, on to the next one. Like, you can't stop everything, and that was just an unreal catch by Snyder.
And I think it was just excellent throws that maintained that flow.
Absolutely.
And keeping it going and scoring the goal.
Keenan Plouffe centers the disc to Travis Carpenter, who.
All right, I don't know if either team is going to hit 10 points this game yet. All right, here we go. Now the huck pass
comes down with it.
Keegan's Keegan is so dynamic too. Like he'll cut, he'll handle, he'll throw it deep, he'll catch it deep. I want to play with him. Not for the AlleyCat.
When you watch him run, like, for anyone watching, like, spend a couple points and just, like, watch Keegan move around the field. Like, just watch him. And it's almost like he's gliding. Like, he's not like, really running. It's just, like, his run is so interesting. It's so, like, smooth that it just looks like he's kind of, like, gliding around the field. You can't really tell how fast he's going until you see him matched up against someone. Is he really moving that fast? Is he really trying that hard? And then you see him up against someone, it's like, oh, he just toasted that guy. Okay, yeah, he's moving pretty fast.
In my opinion, I think he moves exactly and looks very similar to Simon Montague. I think they look exactly the same on Ultimate Field. Often.
I'll have to watch for that.
I can understand why you say that, but I don't agree.
Yeah, no, I told some teammates that too on Sub-Zero, and they didn't agree with me either. There's something about his mannerisms and how he moves. It reminds me a lot of Simon, except for the ponytail or the bun.
Keegan does have a magnificent head of hair.
Matsuka.
Yeah, he's just a
I
chill
love when
dude.
Brett does that fake. Whenever he like goes to throw the forehand.
Reset, and it's blocked immediately. by
That's
number
a
21,
nice
Cameron
little
Burton.
reaction.
That doesn't happen to Brett very
Back
often.
and forth from Minnesota.
No.
That does not happen to Brett very often.
Minnesota.
Oh, he's upset.
Works
Look
it
at him,
over.
hands on the
Works
hip.
it.
He's
There
upset.
seems to be a call on the field.
He's
I
mad
can
at
count on
himself.
one hand the amount of times in my life I've seen Brett hand blocked, whether it was
Coming from
a
the
drill
sideline.
or a game.
Oh,
And it looks
Cam's
like
pumped.
A stall is maybe called.
Cam was not happy.
AlleyCats.
So this
What is
was
Cam?
Oh, it looks like
What is
AlleyCats
Cam happy on
got
the
a
ultimate
turnover,
field?
And
Hey, our coach
the rest did
called it out,
not
and he
maybe
said it
hear
to the
but
sideline ref on
Minnesota
our
is not
sideline,
happy on the
and
sideline.
I think he was like fumbling with his whistle. By the time he got it up
Mhm.
and really
I remember that.
sent
Quite honestly, that's
Stop the
very
game,
interesting,
like a pass
situation.
had gotten off. And so it seemed like a really late call, or well, it was a late call. It was a really late call that seemed like because the coach mad or whatever, but he actually made the call before our turnover happened, like before, because he usually whenever the stall gets to 5 or 6 with our D line, it's like an automatic timeout from our coach. So as soon as he saw Brett was on stall 6, he called the timeout.
Yeah, I remember that. I think I was talking to you because I was near the sideline.
You're good at being
Just unfortunate.
Feldman still does not look
Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance
doesn't look
is
too
good at
pleased.
your insurance.
Oh no,
Stop
Feldman.
the agent.
Feldman was not happy about that.
At IN.com. And stop
I mean, you can't blame him. Like, as a coach, you kind of got to do that, because what if the refs were not doing a great job of calling it fair, or they made the call because they felt pressured by the other coach? Well, if you put some pressure on them as the opposing coach, and they really did make a bad call, it's going to come out. You know, like it's going to expose it. You know, so I don't know. I don't blame Feldman for getting riled up about that. Like he made, he made the right coach call there.
And Travis, we saw after the game when the ref took the his ref jersey off that he was wearing an AlleyCats jersey underneath. So I don't know. That could have played a role too.
Number 19,
That's true. We did give him free jerseys so he could get calls for us.
So
Just
I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna have to file official complaint to the AUDL.
Minnesota with the disc on the far sideline. Nifty floaty backhand finds Thomas.
Let's be honest. The drops that Gross and Keegan have had, and Matsuka getting hand blocked. Josh, you guys should be up by 2 instead of down by 2 right here.
Minnesota gets a timeout now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Minnesota with the time.
we were definitely in a funk for whatever reason. I think Canadians getting there really late and just weren't clicking. But
I do remember that. I do remember them coming in here and chat that something happened with their flights and stuff. That stinks.
Triplet guarding the back.
But I will say on that last D,
That's a lanky mark.
Keegan definitely should have caught it. But Brendan McCann gave him a lot of pressure on that. Kind of a little bit of an intimidator.
Immediate reset from
The other one, the gross drop was just doink.
Works the disc up the field.
You'll notice too, viewers, that in order to try to stop Klane's throws, we have Sam Ellison guarding him, who's 6'5". You notice the height between them. We're trying to put the biggest, longest mark on him possible so that he can't huck at all times.
I was gonna
That's the
say
goal,
actually on your earlier question, Evan, he did a good job on me all year.
Minnesota scores, holding on a long point.
Not like I think some games better than others, but he got I think in that first game we played, he got a huck block on me.
It's tough to guard those up line throws.
I'm pretty sure.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So.
Josh, how does having a guy that's as big as Ellison is kind of change your mindset about attacking the defense?
Especially when it's that close to the end zone, you just need 1 or 2 steps. With a proper throw.
I guess I definitely don't want to put. I mean, I don't push deep as a cutter that often, but I like to kind of mix it up throughout a game and get out of the handler space sometimes.
When you're working on a 5, 8 yard
definitely not going to do that on a 6'5" guy. But no, I mean, it makes you think twice on the mark. I mean, I have confidence in my throws and my breaking ability, but all it takes is just a split second of second guessing yourself, and maybe one break throw isn't going to go off like it normally would on a shorter defender. But it's interesting actually. I liked when Matsuka was guarding me more. I felt more comfortable playing against him. But if there was a turn, I hated trying to guard Matsuka because he just run me into the ground. Wow. Wow.
Let's see that again.
Wow. Great spirit, too. I like Keegan. I have an ulti crush on Keegan, I think.
Carpenter finds himself.
I was gonna say.
So
earlier,
Travis,
you
sorry.
Puts up a deep throw to Keegan North.
Go ahead.
I'm saying you throw this, and the deep defender is peeling off and has great position. Do you see that defender when the disc is split second out of your hand and say, "Oh crap"?
No, I felt comfortable enough with it. I knew, so like with how Fiddleston is, and like after when out of my tail, okay, he's probably gonna at least challenge us. But since I put OY on it, curving towards Keegan's side, I was like, that's gonna be really hard for Kittleson to get a hand on that, like attacking it from the side where it's falling away from him, whereas it's coming straight into Keegan's hand. So I still felt really good at it, and of course I know Keegan's a great athlete in the air, so I really wasn't too worried about that.
Yeah, it was a good spot.
And I was gonna say earlier that Keegan and I feel like think a lot alike, and that was like a pretty unconventional cut and throw. There was like many times where Keegan and I connected on stuff like that weren't necessarily like a part of the system. And so there was just a lot of times we'd have like handler movement going or deep shots to each other that were that were a little bit unique like that kind of kept defenses guessing. So I really enjoy having that dynamic with Keegan.
I think we are getting a contact call here.
Well, hey, there's your makeup call. There you go, Jeff.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I don't think that was a foul.
Spencer blew on him. Apparently a foul.
Luke, let's see that one again. Because honestly, I thought it was a foul.
He might have got pushed
I thought he got hit from behind.
Yeah. Let's see.
Watch just Spencer.
Whoa, slow. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no foul.
Yeah, no foul. There's an interesting call later in this game. I think in the fourth quarter, crunch time. That'll be fun to talk about.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have to pause and make sure everyone stays logged on.
One of the reasons we're
that moment.
in this game for that call.
Finds Burden, and Burden puts one floaty to space for Vanuka, and Vanuka knocks
Who just threw down his hat? Who was that?
To make that throw, it was for maybe a split second.
Who threw what?
Oh, he's really mad.
Yeah, I love the.
There's a AlleyCat player that was really mad he got scored on.
Well, that's where you can see he's catching it. He sees him open already. He knows it, and as soon as he catches it and comes
or no, he's not even on the field. Look.
Yeah,
look at him.
That's one of our number one fans. I think it's the viewer son of one of the part owners. I don't remember his name, but that guy, fellow guy, he's there every single game. He loves the AlleyCats. He gets so into the games. He's just as emotionally invested as like any of the players. It's great.
Yeah, that was a great hat flip, hat throw.
That's a nice pull. Again, is Thomas Eccles the one launching these pulls?
Gives the disc to Carpenter.
I think so. Yeah, some of those.
He's getting some money pulls in here.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Just I'm okay with Gross getting a little bit of an opening cut there.
Gross with the disc.
Oh,
puts up a pretty.
Oh, that's a beauty.
Carpenter is going to notch himself.
That's the kind of stuff that Rick had to start developing. Since he wasn't able to be the same threat in the air coming off of injury. He really, you could tell during practice and stuff, he was very, very focused on his throws all season long, and I think it showed on the field. He had a lot of times throughout the season where he just had these like money throws, right to the corner.
Yeah,
throw Rick.
Beautiful.
So So Travis, what's the deal for 2020? Is he in really good shape? Is he in old Rick Rowe shape or
Travis Carpenter,
last year Rick Rowe shape? What can I expect?
I don't know. Sure. I will say I know that he has been working out very regularly as of, I think it was like 2 months ago he started. I think I know his now fiance. Congrats, Rick. He's now engaged. Him and his fiance like on a big health kick workout kick together. They push each other, I think, pretty hard. So I would expect to see Rick. Yeah, stuff like that.
Oh, there's a cam hawk for you, Travis.
Communication there for Indianapolis.
Oh, all right. When no one's guarding, that's the only time he throws.
And then he catches it.
Easy one to Cameron Burke.
Wow,
look at that.
Yeah, where's the rest of your team? How did he beat 5 other people down to the end zone? Who's not hustling?
Probably not me.
It's a bold question, Travis, when the AlleyCats defense was nowhere to be seen either.
Yeah.
Very fair. Very fair.
Did you guys play that game like 2-on-7 or something? I don't know.
That point was rough. There's definitely more than a few times where our defense. I mean, that would probably anger coach more than anything. Was whenever our defense had miscommunications running down the pole, and then someone like leaked deep, wide open. I would say that was maybe not his #1 pet peeve, but it's close. He would get real upset when we didn't have that stuff right.
I think every coach, that's a high priority pet peeve for sure.
Carpenter with the disc, Carpenter and Blue playing together. Gets Carpenter the disc in power position.
That's one of those things. It's like,
so much
that's just one of the things. It's like the simple things. Get the simple things right. Like, you can't win a game if you're going to be messing up stuff like that. Oh my gosh.
This gonna work?
Another one.
Wow.
After some nifty throws, getting it off the side.
Yeah, you got to at least give yourself a chance.
Let's see that again.
All the extra space there on an AUDL size field.
The
Let's
catch
just
was
fast forward.
impressive.
Let's just fast forward through the game and only show Keegan North highlights. Can we do that?
Now, I will say, I do remember, Keegan, just a little bit of crap on this one. Because we were, like I said, a big difference with our O-line this year was that we were really focused on making good decisions. And we would, we held each other accountable. I think respectfully so, like we all hold each other accountable. And any of us wouldn't hesitate to say something to the other one and keep them in check if they made a decision that was dicey. And that one, the defender had to jump and get high enough. Like, defender had to play on that, and it wasn't bad, but it could be better. It could be a better decision. So I think I just said a little something to him, like, "Hey, that was a little too close for comfort. Let's get back, tighten it up."
If that was Jimmy, that was it's a different story.
Able to just put up a hammer.
Yeah,
to Rick Gross, and he's
that's true. That's true.
9 times out of 10.
So did Keegan play for Cincinnati Revolution too, Travis?
He did.
He did.
I didn't
the first
realize
time
that.
I remember seeing. Yeah. I'll never forget the first time
Jesse.
I
Zach Zebarth, deep downfield.
Let's go.
On the attempt.
That's a good team.
Matthew Lady.
Bad Barth. D. I'll never forget the first time I recognized Keegan was we're playing Revolution, and someone hucked it to him deep, and he was like one step ahead of Specs, Jake Fella on the AlleyCats, and Specs is one of the most athletic players that I know in Ultimate in general, and I remember Specs was booking as hard as he could to chase down that disc, and he did not make up any ground. In fact, Keegan might have actually gained a little bit of yardage on him as he was chasing down the hook, and then Keegan full extension layout caught it for a score. I just remember I was so impressed that someone was able to not be caught up to by Specs and was able to, on top of that, get the layout catch at that speed. So he really impressed me with that play. And I remember whenever we were
that's when the recruiting started.
Yes, that was a play that came up in my head. I was like, that guy, let's get that guy.
Going to be back on defense.
Let's not work it down. I'm just going to jack it.
Puts one up for Brian Vanuka.
Been a
that
long
was a nice
point,
throw.
Comes down against bidding.
I got to hand it to you. That was impressive. You had to step out fairly far for that, too. And you were from
Do you really think I want
his third assist of the game. AlleyCats gonna be
You really think I want to work it all the way up the field and run some more? No. Let's just
Here's my
make it
question, Josh.
AlleyCats gonna
Are you intending to throw this to the warning track and not into the end zone, or I mean, what's the deal?
No, I was definitely trying to put it to the break side for sure. But no, there's a lot of warning track power in this game for sure.
Well, you definitely used to standout players so far. Both have 3 goals and 3 assists, really contributing and carrying their teams in terms of their offense.
Oh my gosh, I love watching this chat and seeing Pavel and Cats guys just roast me the whole time. Fantastic.
Well, you're easy to roast, Travis.
A couple big.
I know, I'm an easy target.
Catches just outside of the end
Hey,
zone.
Travis, did you end up buying your official Two Klanes T-shirt today? Just came out today.
I did not.
You get one?
Those are pretty sweet. I was waiting for someone to do something with that name, the Two Klanes. You got to do something fun with that. It took you guys long enough to capitalize on it.
I thought for sure you'd cash in on that deal, the buy 2 get the 3rd free.
I don't know. I don't know if I want some scruffy dude with the fro on the center of my chest.
One for the girlfriend, one for the girlfriend, one for a parent, and one for you.
You know, just the other day, my mom and dad were just begging me for a Two Klane shirt. It was the weirdest thing. I'm going to have to make it happen, I guess.
In the chat, Pavel says he bought a shirt. It's not clear whether he's telling the truth. But when has Pavel not told the truth?
Grant Lindsley, I think, was the first person to buy a shirt. He was the first one.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
It's a status symbol to have this shirt.
Looks like the
oh yeah.
weren't really sure who,
yeah, it came out really, really nicely. We were really excited about working with this company. And hopefully, actually, we'll see, but they are so good at making those kind of creative designs, and we think, Madison and I think that they could make some really cool designs with other players from around the league, like, you know, Travis Carpenter, the kid, you know, a yacht club, you know, maybe a Grant Lindsley, like in his uniform in like a monastery, or like in the monk Buddha position. You know, there's a lot of good ideas.
We got some zingers in the chat. Cam Brock says, instead of Two Klanes, should change your name to 2 L's after last season. And then there's Pavel, says he bought the shirt so he can burn it in his annual bonfire. Maybe you'll get an invitation to that.
Hey, Travis, I have a wager for you. So if the season happens, okay? If this season happens where we have a regular season, and not just a bracket play, if we win that first game against you guys, for the rest of the season, hopefully we play early in the season, for the rest of the season, you have to wear at every game my T-shirt during warm-ups.
I don't know if I would be allowed by the owners to wear it during warm-ups. Because
it's a bet. It's a bet right here. It's a wager, an official AUDL wager in front of the world right now. Come on.
I mean, what's the flip side of the bet? What if the Cats win?
Yeah, we got to have something. All right, let me think. What do I want to see Josh do?
He's able to find Ladyman.
All right.
Ladyman on the receiving end for the first time tonight.
Oh, look at that! See, look at you look good in that, Travis. Look.
That is so good. With the white headband too, going across. That is fantastic.
You have blue eyes, right? It bring out the blue in your eyes for sure.
I do have blue eyes.
Oh, you do? I actually didn't know. I was just I was a shot in the dark.
Well, as we know, it's really important to make those. It can be sometimes hard to look them off and really.
We got a long game, Travis. You don't have to come up with something now.
I got it. I already got it.
Is it you say it on here, or is it not appropriate?
I'll just text you. Now you have to wear a Keenan blue jersey during all season.
Oh God. I was
You have a
hoping you
history
weren't
with
gonna say
Keenan?
that.
We're gonna see Plu.
No, I just
Keenan,
I don't.
Carpenter.
No, Keenan is definitely known around our division as a fiery player, and he's had his run-ins with some questionable spirit, but after this game specifically, I never really had a problem. But after this game specifically, he didn't. I don't think he said good game in the line after, and it was just like you just beat us. Just tell us we had a good game, okay?
Looks like the clock's getting reset to 28 seconds.
I don't conduct myself the way that Keenan does many times, but I would say the best athlete comparison to Keenan in terms of the way they kind of their personality and style is Larry Bird. I've always thought Keenan is a lot like Larry Bird, just like an incredibly intense, fiery competitor, and he kind of enjoys the tussle and the kind of the the back and forth, the chippiness and stuff that they had back in like old school days in basketball. So I think he would take that as a compliment. I think other players would not want to be compared to that, but I'm pretty sure he would love that comparison. I think it's
and he for sure is the kind of player that embraces that, and he embraces his persona, and he thrives off it. I have no actual problems. I've never had any one-on-one run-ins with Keenan Plu, but I've never gotten very friendly, amiable vibes from him ever. So I don't know.
It can be kind of hard to grind yourself out of that, but of course.
But I love. I love.
That's the bet.
Okay, that's a really good wager. I'm up for that.
All right, coming out of halftime, Indianapolis AlleyCats receive.
I love playing the AlleyCats for sure.
Looking, Henderson breaks deep.
Probably my favorite opponent.
Yeah, it's always fun competition. You guys did a good job bringing it back to this halftime. I mean, we were up by what, 3-4 points at one point. We kind of looked like we had control, and you guys made some plays there towards the end of that half, and you guys really pretty much drew it even there.
Can't get it off at first, but Cameron Bragg finds himself deep in the backfield.
Yeah, I think in the earlier years of the AUDL, when I dabbled with the wind chill in like 2013 and 14, I think during that time, you guys definitely had like the bad boys persona overall as a team in our division. Would you agree with that?
Say that again. It cut out a little bit.
Like you guys were kind of the bad boys of the division, like just kind of rough riders, didn't really care about spirit that much. At least that's what, I heard from older players on wind chill and whatnot. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
All right, as the first half,
in a sense,
the second half gets
I think we have a number of players that kind of
not currently in the past.
I think it just really
yeah, we've definitely had our fair share of players that kind of embrace that and almost like that chippiness in games, and they have more fun when it's like that. But we also have some players that don't play that way at all and try and enjoy being friends with the other team. So we have like some pretty contrasting styles there on our team, but I think we have a higher number of those players that kind of enjoy the chippiness than other teams have had in the past. So yes, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't say that spirit of the game is something that was like a focus from leadership, from the captains and coaches. We didn't really discuss that, in practices and meetings and stuff like that. I mean, we talked about, not being completely ridiculous over the line or whatever, not letting it affect play and stuff. But I don't know, we didn't necessarily talk about. Ooh, okay. Speaking of which, good timing.
I was about to say that was spicy. Speaking of spirit of the game,
he catches the goal, and then he kind of dishes it right to Madison. He's kind of a little sneaky. He tries to take that.
That wasn't very nice.
Fourth goal of the game.
So yeah, you got us back there.
No, I think
I don't even understand what happened. I think he walked away and he just didn't even realize that Cam was trying to poke at him a little bit there. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was very intentional.
Attack downfield and
That's funny.
cuts, and if they're not there,
No, I
really
mean,
continuing
going back to kind of your guys' persona, I think in the past you were kind of labeled that way, at least from what what I talked about with other windshield players in 2013-14. But the last 3 years, I think some of the most enjoyable,
from their handlers,
spirited, physical, fun games have been consistently at AlleyCats. And I think, like, win or lose over the last 3 years, we've always, I don't know if it's the same for you, but we've left the games, whether we win or lose, like feeling pretty good. It was a good game, a spirited game. There was, there was integrity calls. It was relatively clean, although, physical, but nothing overboard. And so I really consistently my favorite team to play in the division for sure.
I would agree. But real quick though, because the moment just happened, Luke, can we go back like 20 seconds on that turn? I'm gonna throw myself under the bus here. So I'd go to like pop through your guys' zone, and this stinks because I'm pretty sure this is a stat that goes against Keegan. But like I look away from him before my cut's over. You guys get a free D. So like sometimes like the fans just see the stats, they don't necessarily see what happened, and like that 100% is like a turn on me.
Yeah.
Like I'm the cause of that.
Yeah.
But it goes under stats. So it's kind of funny sometimes how that works.
Well, maybe the AUDL stats will continue to evolve too, and more once we have more resources, we can that would be a turnover in Travis and not Keegan.
Yeah.
Because it definitely was your fault.
Alex Henderson comes up with a D.
I done goofed, that's for sure.
You gave my boy
Travis,
Keegan a turnover.
At points during this game, you've caught the pull and center to Keenan, and in points it's been vice versa. Is there a plan to that, or is it just kind of whatever? What's the mindset, and how does that get figured out?
Yeah, so more often than not, it's me centering to Keenan. But there's a few factors. Sometimes it's just a matter on the line. Like sometimes we're standing on total opposites of the line. So like I'm 1 and he's 7, and so it's just like way closer to him than it is to me, so he'll catch it or vice versa. So sometimes it's as simple as that. But other times it's in regards to what play we're running. Oh my gosh, I'm so mad. You guys got timeout right before this. I laid out, and I don't even know if I touched that one. I might have just like made it wiggle or something, but I had a big layout there, and your guy dropped it, and I was so hyped.
Look at that!
And I turned around.
You were so pumped.
I get the dreaded notification that a timeout was called, and you guys get the disc back.
Clutch call by Feldman.
Sometimes it was a matter of the play call. Like if it was a play call where the person that was centering the disc needed to go upfield, more often that would be me then. So like I would be the one centering to Keenan. Or if like one of us kind of was just like feeling it, like playing well, then we'd give them the center. But I'd say most of the time it was Keenan. Keenan has more experience than me. Keenan I think is a little bit better under pressure than I am, and he's just like a very well balanced thrower. So it's just always the safer pick, I think, to have him catch the center than me.
Burden hits the upline throw to Greenberg. Greenberg on the far sideline. He looks to put.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust you with the disc either. So.
And he gets up big against Quinn Snyder and taps it away.
That was a nice D. That was like the only time Snyder, I think, got D deep. I'm pretty sure he scored on us every other time you guys talked to him. And David Hortemiller came in clutch. Oh yeah, true. Came in clutch there with a huge D. That was awesome.
The way he landed, he was just slightly off.
I think we scored this one too. That was a pretty clutch D. Oh no, we do not.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Bevan! Bevan! Oh,
that was
wow. Bevan is maybe our best defensive player as well, and he's on O-line.
I feel like Nick should have had that one. I think he was a little bit gassed. Nick really expends a lot of energy right up front in a point, which I love because you never know how long the point's going to last. Woo! That was like shoulder height.
We could replay this, for the next half an hour. And that spike, look at that.
Finds the end zone.
I'm always the fan of defenders like expending all their energy like as quickly as they can, because you never know when you're not going to have those opportunities again. So I think Nick might have been a little gassed there on that end cut, and he let Manuka catch up to him, and Manuka seized the opportunity. That was nice.
Definitely laying it all out on the line, and I mean, we see there a very important point. Essentially a 0-0 game right now. We got 8 minutes left here in the third quarter, and we are all tied up.
Oh, we're in the third quarter already. Okay.
Keenan Blue is going to field it.
Where you been?
Travis Carpenter.
Josh. Yeah, dude, we've been in the third quarter for like.
I've just been distracted by Travis's mustache. So, I don't know.
Continuing from Minnesota. Carpenter gets the
You've been a little disoriented thinking about wearing a Keenan Blue jersey during warm-ups next year.
Yeah, that definitely threw me off.
Looking to reset. Minnesota transitions into a man defense.
Excellent transition.
No, he's
good question in the chat, Josh. When does Bevon get a shirt?
Minnesota's done a pretty good job in terms of almost
soon.
The
Soon.
Offense here.
Oh,
with an amazing save.
We got to come up.
High release backhand.
I don't know. Bevon's got a good nickname, you know, Bevon, but we'll have to think of something for him. He deserves one.
Brock hits Carpenter on the strike cut.
Oh, this is just a classic Travis point where you just tear us up with your legs.
Big point from Carpenter to save the
yeah,
you just run way too much. You run way too much.
I always preach to people that you got to win, you know, you win points with your legs and not your throws. And sometimes I can be the biggest culprit of that. And so yeah, at this point I knew how close the game was. I was just I'm not going to walk away from this point saying I didn't win it with my legs. And
how close was your hammer to getting hit when you cocked it back over your head there? Looked like your defender was right there.
I don't know, actually. It does look pretty close.
Go back.
I would hope they
Mitchell.
Strip. Maybe not.
Ooh, yeah, that would have been a strip.
Maybe it was the other. Maybe it was the other hand.
Alex Henderson on the goal.
But you never know with plays like that, you know, when it's not self-refereed, like it's so quick. Like sometimes the ref can miss that. Like if he would have got a hand on that and it would have been a turnover, it might not have got called. So I'm glad he didn't touch it.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly could talk about a lot.
If that happened, I'd hope
today for both
an integrity call
would
be called in that situation.
Showcasing their talent. Brian Manuka
personally,
just really he's balling out. Right
but not everyone in this league is going to do that, as you know.
It's true.
Playing at a very, very high level today as well. We talked about Keenan North earlier and all the plays he's even Cameron now,
before we get too close to the big integrity call of the game, I do want to point out their interesting interaction because there's barely any film at Windy game because it's not really valuable film, like you said. But a moment,
we burned it. I burned it.
Okay, good. I'll never forget a point in that game where I was making an upline cut, and I think you accidentally tripped me, or like you kind of like stumbled and I fell over, and so because of it, I dropped the disc. Like I had it and like slammed into the ground and like dropped the disc, and you weren't sure if it was a foul, and I was saying it was, and you were like, ah, and like. Had you just like given an honest answer, you probably would have said that it wasn't a foul. Like you like really believe it, and you could have been right. But like I was telling you, I was like, dude, I really think it was. And I remember you just like genuinely asking me, you just being like, do you really truly think it was a foul though? And I was like, yeah, I do. And you were like, all right, and just called it integrity. And I thought that was awesome. And I try to do that for other players too, because I mean, we know that there are some players. I know I'm not naming names like they keep asking me in the chat, but some players that we know.
Oh, I could name some teams.
If you were to ask some people for an honest answer, they would not give it to you. But you had you respected me enough to just straight up ask me if it was a foul or not, and made the call for me. So that was awesome.
Really want this victory.
Yeah, I remember that. That was, and you know what? It took a lot of effort because that was a rare time where I thought I may have had a layout under D, and I was very close to him. And that doesn't happen very often for me. And I got tangled up. I remember you believed it was a foul. I felt like
incredible.
I didn't really know. I didn't think it was a foul,
Really
but because you were so adamant that it was a foul, and I respect you, and we're friends, and like, you know,
athleticism. Let's not
I could see how much you believed in that. I conceded for sure.
And say that about
Yeah.
the sport here.
And that's what makes our that's what separates our sport. And I know a lot of people, you know, will say AUDL is refs, and it's way different than USA Ultimate and Spirit of the Game. It's not a factor, but I mean, the integrity rule is huge. I mean, just imagine if the NBA or the NFL or any other sport had an integrity rule. Like, you know, I mean, I think it's in comparison to USA Ultimate, I think it's definitely different with refs, but you can utilize the integrity rule.
Yeah, I love it. I think the AUDL will have I mean, like, I think that's the best way to do it. Have refs, but then just still leave the option of the integrity rule. I think it works perfectly. I love it.
Yeah, and that's another reason why I like playing Indy, because I think over the last 3 years we've had consistently good integrity calls for both teams. So that always makes it feels good. Feels good.
Josh, I want to ask you a question. You have a guy on your team named Michael Jordan. Obviously, he's not about it. So maybe you can speak for him a little bit. But has he shared about like what his life was like growing up with that name? Like, how did that affect him? And like, did he have like running jokes like throughout like growing up and stuff? Or do you guys on the team have running jokes about his name?
Yeah, and great effort to
You know, it's kind of we're kind of over it. I think we went through a phase of having jokes, but now it's kind of just MJ. But I'm pretty sure I don't know for sure. But I'm pretty sure that he was named after Michael Jordan. So they did it on purpose.
That's pretty cool.
I could be wrong. You're going to have to look in the chat, see if someone can confirm that. But
yeah, Josh, that's going to be our goal. We got to become such high-level athletes that other people name their kids after us. That's our new goal.
You know what? If you want to make another wager?
Oh, no.
If we
Indianapolis AlleyCats.
your first kid, first child, first son, we win the series. You name your first son, Josh.
There can't be more than
We're gonna hunt you down when you have a kid, and I swear, if your kid's name is not T-Carp, I'm gonna be so pissed.
It's about
Okay, maybe we shouldn't. Let's not make that wager. I think the first one's fine.
catches the disc. Looks
Well, a
upfield.
little.
Cameron Brock
Travis is a solid
finds
game.
himself open in the end zone.
Yeah.
It's all about the change of
It's all right.
speed
It's all right.
and the timing and when he's doing it.
Right. I mean, we saw there. He's just like almost.
Hey guys, do you mind if I take a quick bathroom break? I've been drinking a lot of sparkling water. Be right back.
Per usual, Minnesota centers the disc to Klane.
LaCroix.
Klane
LaCroix.
Matsuka.
Kind of fronting him.
Machine's
there, so he
worst
couldn't,
crew ever.
Tuck it right away, it seemed.
Matsuka drawing the Klane matchup on this point. Big around backhand finds Quinn Snyder.
That's a nice throw. Spencer had a really good mark there. He was so active.
Definitely
Snyder was
trying to
having a little
take
trouble
away
finding
the
options. He had to high release forehand just to find something there.
Ringwood jumping to try and stop the hammer looks. Klane finds himself open up line, and he puts a hammer over the top. Wide open for the goal. Looks like Michael Jordan on the receiving end again. This time from Josh Klane. Klane picks up his third assist of the game. And we are in a bit of a shootout here in the third quarter.
Yeah, I mean, really, only 4 goals have been
While Klane's in the restroom, something that's kind of interesting about like the different venues you play at in the Midwest in particular. You know, Madison has the biggest crowds. of any of the venues.
I mean, it was like a 2.5.
And so that's always a lot of fun. And they kind of have that old school soccer stadium. You know, we went to Minnesota. We got to play in the Vikings practice stadium. That was really cool. Pittsburgh, you know, when you come into the city, you're coming through like rolling hills, and you like see the city down below you as you like come off the hills. But I think one thing that's unique about ours is that obviously it's indoor, but the fans, you know, they can really impact the game. And I definitely remember the fans being so loud and passionate in this game that we could like feel it. Like I didn't even have to look, but I could just feel that they were standing on their feet. That was really cool, feeling the intensity from the fans. It really pumped me up, all of us up, so I love that.
But cannot get there in time, and Levi Jacobs.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how high up they are too. Like I never really felt the crowd. I mean, I could definitely hear them, but
I mean, is this not fun right now?
typically
in the AUDL.
The fans are a lot closer.
No offense.
I don't think, for me personally, at least for the away team, it didn't have a huge effect.
Incredibly fun to watch here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say in this game in particular, like because it comes down to the wire so much, and we're going so back and forth. Like I remember fans like saying after the game that it was one of the most fun games ever to watch. Like they were just so engaged, and it was so cool having that amount of people like so engaged. Like sometimes you go to sporting events and it's like people aren't even watching the game. They don't even like really know what's going on. Sometimes they don't even know how the sport works. But it was just cool to have like a crowd of people that were all like truly there for the game and that engaged in the game.
Yeah, you guys have some passionate fans for sure.
Hopefully,
no, this is a weird venue. It is very. It's like such and like. You can like all the fans who are watching right now can only see the field, but this whole facility is so big. Like it extends like full field past behind the bleachers and then the other way as well. And so it's just like this really weird experience where, juking him.
Yeah, because like the rest of the building's empty other than our field.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird experience, but I liked it. It's always fun. You guys have that bar up there, right? That restaurant that you can like see through the glass window.
Yeah,
something.
Vanuka has such a weird looking forehand. The way he like cocks it back and stuff. Did he? Oh, I'm so mad at
MJ.
I wanted that one bad.
You came up short on a lot of layouts this game.
I know. I had like three like really big like hit the ground pretty dang hard, and I didn't get any of them.
Yeah, Bevan really loads up his flick.
That's another goal for Minnesota.
I wonder where he learned that. Like I'm sure like someone didn't teach him to do that. Like that was probably something natural or unorthodox kind of taught himself. It's kind of interesting.
That point took like a minute 5 seconds. Way too long. Way too long. I mean, it's 20-second points.
God, he's so good.
Jeez.
Huck. Just huck it.
And the announcers are talking about how it's like the most fun game they've ever watched. And he just said, he goes, that point was a minute and 5 seconds. That's too long. We want shorter points like they have, like, you know, it's been like 30 seconds long, shooting like crazy.
What do you think about the length of the defensive?
So we watched this game for film study a couple weeks ago as a team. And we love, at least I do, I love these announcers. I think they are so funny. They're like so genuine and like genuinely nice. They love to talk nice about us. I love them.
Yeah, I think they do a good job of like kind of building up both teams going into the game. Like they really build up the matchup rather than just building up their home team. I think that's kind of cool. Oh, props to Levi for that step through backhand. That's like a lot of people would opt to just to do like lazy scuba or something there, but he like fought through two people and like almost did the splits there to get a backhand off. That was awesome.
Yeah. No, that's a tough throw. That's exactly what we want to do on the double team. We want to force that step through tougher throw where you have to hit it in a very specific window as opposed to having a lot of space upfield or backfield.
I feel like I don't see Kittleson lay out that much. He gets a lot of deep Ds. Does he really lay out for scores? Because that was like, I feel like he got that one for sure.
Yeah, I think
That's at
He
least a
definitely
6-assist
he
game
definitely
so
picks
far
and
for
chooses.
Carpenter.
When
But
he doesn't always lay out.
Too many times. I mean,
I agree. He could have had that.
You talked about that. Even
This is
I mean, he's so
classic
athletic.
D3 blade throw that I had to learn.
Especially with
I like that.
making all
I
the
like
right
that one.
throws, all
Echoes
the
flies
smart
like
throws.
Superman. Couldn't quite get there.
Obviously, again with another 6 assists for him today.
Yeah, think
No, I
about
think Jimmy
the
is so
transformation of
athletic
Carpenter
that
over the last few
like
years.
he just thinks
It was
he can just
what,
run
2 years
down
ago, 3 years
everything
ago, Carpenter was seen as one
and
of
not
the
have to lay
biggest
out, and so
defensive
that's
cutters
Sure.
you know
in the
sometimes
AUDL,
he just
an
comes up short
up-and-coming
because he
defensive
thinks
cutter
he
in
can just
AUDL,
run through it.
and now here he is in a
Yeah.
completely opposite role.
Yeah.
O-line handler for the most part.
Yeah.
And really just the do-it-all guy for the AlleyCats.
Well, when you have 2 players like Plu and Carpenter that
Yeah, after the start of the game, it's I don't think any team, either of us go up by more than 1 until the end.
Explosive
Oof.
attack.
Oh, here it is.
Another
Yeah.
Excellent puck here from Klane.
Josh,
that-
I wouldn't say an
oh,
excellent.
down with it.
I wouldn't say an excellent huck, but I'd say it was a huck. It was a far
Putting
huck.
on a
I mean,
show for
you
Minnesota.
launched. I mean, that thing was, gosh, that traveled, and it was tailing away from him. And I feel like that
Yeah,
camera
yeah.
angle doesn't really do it justice because I was, watching from the Cats sideline on the opposite side, and
Big
so
throw
I like,
after big
oh
throw.
my gosh, I just remember watching that and just being like, dude, what the heck?
Yeah, you can't from this angle. You can't really see how close the disc was to the ground, but when he caught it,
It was so close. And like when the disc is trailing away from you like that, it has like so much spin and it has that momentum carrying away. It's like hard to hold on to it. Like so many people get their hand on those and then they drop it when they hit the ground. So that was just so impressive that Snyder held on to that through the whole catch.
That's big.
I like throwing to him.
Like he's just about at his average for
I got a lot of room for error when I throw
so
it.
he's getting there.
Pavel has asked multiple times for me to talk about golf. And on that note, I want to share something. Yesterday, yeah, I have a confession. Yesterday, we logged on to do a little. We logged on to do like a little test run of this to make sure all the technology was working so we could prepare for tonight. And I was 15 minutes late. Well, I was 15 minutes late.
No,
and
you
then
were
had
not
a bunch of
15 minutes
technology.
late. You were 35 to 45 minutes late.
That was only because I couldn't get connected. The first 15 minutes was because I was finishing up a golf round and I shot the best round of my life. I shot it for the first time I broke 80 and I shot a 79. So if it makes you feel better, I got a personal record because of my layup.
Travis, that makes Luke, Evan, and I feel a lot better about waiting for you.
Yeah.
Carpenter comes down with the
Perfect.
sky.
Perfect.
Carpenter
You're forgiven.
Did you beat Keenan though for the first time? Is the question.
Keegan North.
No, I did not. Him and I played the other day, and he was not playing very well, actually. He was having a kind of rough round, and I still tied him. I still couldn't beat him even then. One of these days,
He told me, and you can verify this, and I don't want to besmirch your character, but apparently you guys have played like 15 times and you've never ever beaten him.
Yeah, floaty throw.
No, it's not true at all. He would say that. We played, I think, 3 or 4 times. At most. I think 3.
Especially not tonight, no.
And you know what? We played around about a month ago. I might have beat him at a course down south.
Yeah.
I think I might have beat him that day. I don't remember. No, we tied that round too. Dang it. I've tied him twice. I think we've played like 3 or 4 times. I've tied him twice. And he beat me the other 2.
Definitely a factor.
Minnesota
Is he a really good golfer?
Ellison on the mark.
He's very good.
He
He's been playing like most of his life, so he's got a really good swing. He can drive the ball off the tee box a lot farther than I can. Yeah, he's real solid, and he's just like a very mentally tough athlete in general. So golf naturally suits him.
Klane looks around but can't get it off, and now he hits the around. Finds.
I like mini golf.
Snyder finds Burden.
Mini golf is some fun.
Greenberg with the disc, looking deep for Michael Jordan. Nick Hutton coming across, and that falls to the turf. AlleyCats pick up the disc, and they're trying to rush off a puck. Nick Hutton puts one up, but it
man,
get much under.
got to half field almost.
To put on the pressure and not allow Nick Hutton, because we know, I mean, that's got to be a.
So we're through 3 quarters.
And welcome back.
Sorry.
Lead the Minnesota the most fun quarter.
Oh, you go.
Yeah,
It's your show.
Quarter alone.
No.
And then
You're the voice of Ultimate. Go ahead, Evan.
Oh, that's very kind. I obviously had some technical difficulties during that third quarter, so thanks for carrying it. 12 minutes on the clock. This is a game that really defined your two seasons, I think. I mean, Indy won a lot of close games, and Minnesota did not win as many close games. Not to try to give anything away, but are you kind of sensing the magnitude of these 12 minutes on the sidelines as you take the field for the fourth?
You can see the ref standing at the halfway point, and there's the pull.
Go ahead, Travis.
Big pull from Spencer Loskar might save it a little bit.
I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty dang nervous going into this fourth quarter. In past years, we haven't been the best at closing out games. Obviously, this year was different, but I still kind of had that in the back of my mind. And we've lost a lot of close games to Minnesota over the years. And so I'm not gonna lie, that was getting to me a little bit. So I was pretty on edge going into that fourth quarter, and like, I mean, like we talked about, like we both knew how pivotal this game was. It was just like every win you get can like potentially separate you from the team. You know, so yeah, I was pretty nervous. I was a little tight, so I was trying my best to like really dial in and focus before every point a little bit.
Works it off to Greenberg.
Yeah, you can sense. I mean, even in this first point, you can sense the urgency. I think you guys picked up the defensive pressure a lot in the fourth quarter, and you know, as you know, it's the AUDL games are a grind and like can change quarter to quarter very drastically, and so I think here's where this game really gets going.
Brings Matsuka to a flat mark, and then the around backhand to Quinn Snyder.
I don't think we weren't feeling a ton of pressure. I mean, we knew how big this game was, and we wanted to win. But I don't know. I don't think we were just playing. We were just playing. We were a little shorthanded. It was a long travel day, and so it's like, let's just give it what we got. And you're right, Travis. Like we typically in the past, in the last 3 years, have come away with these close games against you guys.
Yeah.
So maybe that you guys are like thinking enough. We're just gonna do it.
Yeah, I feel like
it seemed like
that kind of it rounds out our year is a good way to sum it up. Is like, all right, enough, enough of losing these games, enough of losing these tight games, enough of losing to Minnesota and Madison so many times, and enough. That's a good way to say it.
Tough, tight mark.
Yeah, definitely a lot of pressure.
Daenu in Hebrew.
Yeah, look how tight these marks are. I mean, almost every time we're catching the disc, your guys are like touching us, like right as we're catching it. There's like 2 there in a row where Keegan and I caught it, and you guys are like chest to chest with us.
Yeah. Yeah, these are like the first 2 points really good.
Beat our guy? Like, what was that?
Splits the double team.
People are going crazy.
North puts up a
and I mean, even that throw right there, like, for us to score, we have to blade across the field. Like, and we completed a lot of passes that, like, that's how tight defense was. When you got an opportunity like that, you know, you have to take it.
Both D lines kind of set the tone right in the opening points, and I don't know. I think you guys we had a really tough time slowing down Keenan, you, and Keegan this entire game, and you guys seem to just kind of grind us down. And I mean, our handler defenders did a great job overall, I think. But like, I mean, as you'll see over the course of this quarter, you clearly still have more legs, and we kind of start wearing down a bit.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that does show a little bit this quarter, the conditioning, the stamina. Our team, I mean, I know you guys do quite a bit of preseason training too, but our team did a good job of like really prioritizing getting together for workouts in the preseason when it's cold. And the whole Midwest, you know, it's like pretty much all the way up until game 1, you like can't even practice outside. And it's like you have to do mostly conditioning. And it's really easy just to say, like, players handle conditioning on your own. And Coach was very adamant about making sure we were together for our workout. It wasn't even super important what the workout was, but I think that really helped our team.
Carpenter and Chase.
I
Nice
was
throw.
not happy about the throw. I was not. So when I released this, it kind of slipped a little bit and went way out of bounds. Like people had to duck on the sideline, and it just happened to curve in nicely at the end. But
cannot catch Vanuka.
when I released it, I thought it
It
was
looked
terrible.
nice.
Josh Klane with the assist.
So like
Brian Vanuka.
I was guarding Vanuka, I think that whole point, and I think I was doing a good job. I don't think he was really touching the disc, and I felt like I had him like locked down. And then you guys swing the disc like 50 yards across the field. So you change the angle of attack with one throw in the matter of like 2 seconds. And then the second you get it, Klane, you do a same third huck like 50 yards down the field. And I bid as hard as I can, and I can't get to it. I'm just like, man, that's all. I was playing good defense there, and you guys just like put me in an impossible situation.
We are here in a shootout, 19-19.
I really wanted to see that point.
You know,
Midwest Division
I
basically.
definitely am a gunslinger, and I like to huck it.
Said a lot,
But I'll tell you what,
today,
Bevon and
just
Quinn
being the last team with the disc
are definitely responsible for a lot of my turnovers because every time I touch the disc, those two guys are ready to take off deep no matter where they are. And they will. And then I see them go deep, and I have a lot of trust in them. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to throw it. And so, you know, it may be a turnover on me,
As you can see there,
but
definitely someone
it's because of that.
try to rush it. You know, they made 3 forward
Josh, that was always
and-
my mindset when I
and
played
paused,
as a center
made
handler.
sure that didn't make a
It
bad
was always the
decision.
receiver's fault if they didn't come down with the throw, even if there was a defender.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to the
Exactly.
receiver to make the play.
Yeah, don't bait me into this deep throw if you don't want it, if you're not going to come down with it, you know?
Then hits the around to Henderson.
Can we go back
Henderson with the disc in
20
the center,
seconds?
fakes the
And just made sure
This
that they didn't
offense
make a bad
right here
decision.
is like kind of
the disc working through the
like
recess
this
with
shows how the Cats are
Finds
different
Keegan
this year
North-
from any
North
other
with
year.
the disc.
That hammer would have
The
been
hammer
thrown in this situation
back.
any other year of the Cats.
Fakes the up
And
line,
Keegan
Mhm.
holsters it,
then
it,
hits the
and
around to
swings
Henderson.
it for a large to
Henderson
the
with
middle of
pass
the
in the
field
center
to
of the field,
completely
takes it
open
from
up our
recess to
offense
North.
again.
Tries
And
to
that's
stop it
something,
going left
I
cut.
mean, I know Keegan's the one that did it right there, but our whole O-line really committed
Henderson.
to doing that this
one
year.
up
And so I
deep
feel like
to
that won us a
Rick
lot of
Rose.
games, was our
Mm.
ability to
Scary
stay
backhand
disciplined
from
like
Rick
that through the end
Rose.
of the game.
Pops
So
up into the air.
as far as
But it's
1919
Cameron
or the
Brock
fourth
who
quarter,
comes
it's
down
getting
with it
late.
for the goal.
Cock the hammer, and no, let's hold it back.
Yeah.
Let's take something here. And I think that's what won us a lot of games this year.
Did an excellent
Yeah,
job.
and even in the course of this game, like I think like a little more, you guys were a little more loosey goosey in the first, second quarter, and this fourth quarter, your O line really tightened up, and like really didn't give us anything, and especially when it counted at the end, that last offensive point, like really tight, really disciplined. So
I'd imagine that's not
props to
exactly
y'all.
how he planned on that throw going.
My advice on that to other teams, anyone that's watching,
It's just one of those ones where
I
you
kind of
look
learned
back,
from
maybe
Shane, and I kind of
you
like
don't always make the throw, but
really pushed on the AlleyCats.
the
Since I've been a
throws
captain
are
the last
different
few
when you
years, that was
make
like
that throw.
one of my main points of emphasis as a captain was pushing accountability for like players to hold each other accountable, to be accountable to each other, and to make sure that if someone makes a stupid throw, does something dumb or whatever, that like someone should be in their ear about it. If someone's not playing close enough defense, someone should be in their ear about it. Now it can be said, given in an intense way, but not in a disrespectful way. And I think all season long we did a good job of that. And so during that fourth quarter, I'm sure the other O-line guys felt this too, but I personally felt constantly accountable to the other 6 guys on the line. I was like, if I don't execute, I don't do my job, like I'm going to be letting them down, and I'm going to hear it from them. And I don't want to hear that I let down Keenan. I don't want to hear that I let down Levi. I don't, whatever. So, I think that helps a lot for teams not to shy away accountability. I think it's really huge.
More in terms of your flow than it does, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you move back some.
You gotta be a team that's willing to call out, and not in a negative. I mean, obviously sometimes it gets negative, but you got to be willing to call out people for if they're not doing their job and hold people accountable. And that's the only way that you become a successful team is, you have accountability. You all have one goal, and
yeah.
You could definitely tell that from the AlleyCats this year. It looked like this was the most together team, and that's probably a big part why you guys came out with the division.
You definitely see it's definitely in the back
Yeah.
of the minds of the AlleyCats.
Is number 4 on your team Greenberg?
Here we are, Indianapolis and Minnesota.
Yes, Jesse. Yeah.
Row right there by him. I think there's a lot of people that would catch the disc on the goal line right there, and that they would pump it or they would like wait for the stack to come in. But I'm a big believer in if you have an ISO in the end zone, you score. Like that dude needs to be cutting, or the thrower needs to put it to space, and that should be an automatic score. I love that Greenberg is just like recognize that and just put a trust throw out, like a floaty trust throw out into the corner, and it was just like, Devon will go get this. You know, there's no help T. Let's put it out there. I think players need to do that more often. That was smart.
Do you also hate goal line timeouts like in that situation as well?
Yes. I hate them.
I hate them.
Stand it.
I hate them too.
It's good in college whenever you have like newer players that get really scared at the goal. That's one thing. Like at this level, no. If you're on the goal line, score.
One-on-one,
Score the disc.
you know, yeah. I mean, and the kind of the dysfunction of what's going on can actually help you sometimes. You know, you give the defense a chance to set up in that situation, and it can be tougher.
Carpenter takes the reset.
Yeah. Cam just called me out. I was gonna bring this up, but Cam. That was I think when I rewatched it, down.
You know, so in our film study, at first we were like, "Oh, that's down for sure," and then we rewatched it. We rewatched it though, and it might be up. And he's pretty confident it was up.
That's down.
I don't know.
I think.
Is it? We'll have to ask Keegan. He's pretty confident that it was up. He might have got his hand under it.
I remember thinking at the time, I remember being on the field thinking it was up for sure, but when I rewatch it, it doesn't look up.
It's tough from this angle because you can't see the edge down of the disc.
They do call it down.
Yeah. But so I was just talking about that decision making, and Cam's totally right. He called me out in the comments, but there was like 4 or 5 times throughout the season where like I like huddled the O-line and like really urged. I was like, hey, we really need to be tight on decision making on this point. We're not hucking it.
And then you turned it over.
And then I jack it like 3 rows in. And it was just like I blacked out or something. Like I would get down, I would just like I'd think to myself like, Travis, what are you doing? You just said not to do that. And I think most of the time they ended up being completions on like a remarkable catch from one of my receivers. So like, I kind of got away with most of it. But
do as I say, not as I do. Going back to Jake Fella, it's too bad he tore his knee up, but he's really good, and I really like playing against him. He's a tough matchup as well because he's big. And
I think
he got
Specs
close to this.
He did. I think Specs is one of the best defenders.
Recover from that falter. And now Minnesota in control.
And he
apparently
he's like healthy now, and he just moved back to Indy again because he only played in like 5 games for us or something like that this year because he was living in Tennessee for a job, and he just moved back. So hopefully you guys will see more of Specs getting some Ds real soon here.
Put some pressure on the throw there.
Yeah, I remember he played for the U24 team, right? A couple cycles back, and the guys from Minnesota who played raved about him, and like he was one of the better guys on that team apparently. So
yeah,
he's good.
There's a I think they were playing. Might have been. It was like their quarterfinals or semifinal game. U.S. men's team was playing in a really tight game, and Specs gets like 3 layout Ds in that game or something in a really tight game, and they win. And like pretty much the whole team apparently like unanimously agreed they won that game solely because of Specs. So it was like that sort of
with a possession saving grab.
Yeah, go back and watch that game, all you guys. U24
Looks
from
like
what was
he
that, like
grabbed it so
2017 or
hard hitting
something?
the ground.
You could tell he almost immediately
USA
looked
versus
at it
Canada.
like, I think it's
Australia?
Mexico.
That's not the right shape for a disc.
That's interesting there.
I don't.
Floating
I was
around.
thinking. I was thinking
Henderson going in
Canada.
the wrong direction at first. Cuts
That's
back
what sounded right to me.
and saves
right
it.
there.
That
You
catches
saw
that.
that there.
and he hit it with his knee.
Yeah.
Man,
Pressured it there a little
yeah,
bit.
your backfield was just lights out in the fourth quarter, except for
Henderson
that
immediately hits around to North. North
turf.
with the disc.
But other than that, I don't think you guys turned it over.
North looking to run that throw and go. Carpenter with the disc in the center. And he finds North for the goal.
Yeah, I don't. Honestly, I don't think Rick Gross touches it in the fourth quarter. I haven't seen Rick or Cam really touch it at all. Like it's just you, Keenan, Henderson, and Keegan, and that's
Those two there doing
Key.
We need to put out a watch for this. Everyone needs to keep their eye on Cam and Rick. Let's see if they touch it.
AlleyCats are going to need a break,
the rest of the
though, if
quarter.
they want to get back into this game.
The comment section is saying it was Australia. We think you're right, Klane. USA versus Australia.
I would venture to guess Carpenter's probably going to end up playing most of the points the rest of this game. It might get a break or two here and there, but probably going to see him out on the field for most of the points.
Pretty stacked.
Travis, why didn't you? You didn't match up on me at all this game. What's going on?
Carpenter, Jake Fellow,
Are you scared?
I know. Well,
Sam Ellison, David
you know, you're just so much faster than me. I don't want to get burned.
You've been burned by me before. You know.
Yeah,
How many times
know
do you
you're
match
right.
up against him?
What's up?
It's not very often.
How many times you match up against him?
It's just going to come down to trying to put on enough pressure without.
Yeah, you ever played a D-line point in your life, Klane?
Especially have just
Way back in the day.
they're dominating right
High
now.
school?
And it's been pretty impossible to stop them so far this second half.
I know my role.
Ooh.
Throw from Minnesota finds nobody, but they recover. Burden with the disc in the center of the field.
I'm taking a month off from drinking this month, so maybe this season you'll see some D-line Klane. I don't know.
Can't quite stop him.
Very
Burden
nice.
with the disc on the far sideline.
That's usually
Matsuka.
what gets me the most out of shape is my love of beer and White Claws. So
The Surly.
we'll see.
The Surly beer.
Shout
Shout out.
Surly. It's a blessing and a curse to be owned by Surly.
Playing some back and forth.
So you say you're not drinking this whole month? I mean, it's the 7th of May right now. How many days do you think you'll make it?
I'm making it the whole month. I've committed to it. I also am I'm a nail biter, and I'm working on that as well. So no nail biting, no drinking this month. Starting the summer fresh, starting the season fresh, clear-minded. I've been drinking a lot of Ahas. Have you guys had this before?
No.
I've never heard of that.
This is the most interesting flavor. It's black cherry coffee, sparkling water, with 30 grams of caffeine. So not the best flavor for sure, but it's not as bad as you'd think.
All of them have really put up
I'm usually not a fan of those things, those sparkling water things.
Oh, I'm addicted.
Wait, you guys went up a break? Okay. I must have missed
Hey,
that.
here we go. Here we
I forgot
go.
about that.
We're gonna win this. Whoa.
That's a brave
Oh.
throw. It was a time.
Oh, let's rewind this too. We had a lot of talk about this in our film study. If we can rewind that last goal.
Here it's coming again.
If you you watch Henderson here, he purposely gets in front of Jimmy and slows down to stop him from having a chance.
I did wonder if that was legal or not.
He starts put on the.
Deep early. Keegan North.
Yeah, it gives him a little bit of a.
And that's another
Yeah, apparently not enough for Jimmy to
just over 3
complain
minutes
about
to
it.
go. Things are getting tight here.
That's probably a foul, but Jimmy's just got to go right through him then,
Levi Jacobs just blows by the defender.
Yeah, I think it almost looks like he tried to, but it seemed like it didn't even slow me down or bother him.
Slow up a little bit, which
Yeah, but that's Jimmy. Maybe that one extra step is a chance that he gets that D.
All right, AlleyCats D-line.
Yeah, maybe.
So Henderson,
I saw him do a
if you're
for a bid earlier.
Henderson, if you're watching this, don't try that shit again. Jimmy's running through you.
We said it could be the first team to blink, and that one.
Hey, one thing I wanted to ask you guys when I got disconnected before: have you two ever played on the same team together at any tournament or anything like that?
Yes.
Yeah, we've played Beach Ultimate a couple times at Layout together. That might be it, right? And maybe a cut camp against like the campers, the high school kids.
Against the campers.
Yeah, AlleyCats playing some tough defense here.
I think
Travis and I became friends at cut camp, and you just spend all day with everyone there, and so you get to know them very well. And it's usually in the middle of the club season, so like we're doing workouts together, we're doing drills together, we're having fun together, we're dominating the campers together on the field, and so yeah, that's you had a lot of fun at cut camp. It was a really good time.
Yeah, I was actually I had marked in my notes this D here from Colin. That's a pretty special moment, pretty special D. So I want to give a shout out to Colin. Colin has been on the AlleyCats for like 5 years now. He's been a steady guy on our team, and he's very involved in the community. So he's also just a super nice guy, and he's an amazing teammate. He puts the team before himself all the time. He's constantly grinding at every practice. His attendance is basically perfect to every game and every practice through every single year. The dude just like works harder than just about anyone I know. And he's not like a big stat grabber. He plays tight defense all the time. He's one of those kind of in your shorts type of defenders. And so he doesn't necessarily have a lot of stats, and people don't really notice him. But there's been a few different times. I think it happened like 3 times through this season where we were in clutch situations like this, and we needed a D, and Colin was the one that came up with it. And like, he didn't get any other stats all game long. And like right when we needed it most, like his effort shone through, and ended up getting us a huge point. And we might not. I mean, Colin doesn't get that D, doesn't bid for that. We might not win this game. We probably don't, honestly.
Unsung hero.
Yeah.
He does the podcast, right, too?
His older brother does our podcast.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
This is a very interesting play.
Josh, you want to talk about it first, and then I'll go?
I think there's no way in hell that Gross is coming down with this. But Dylan bailed him out for sure and just ran into his back. And, it's a foul. It's absolutely a foul. It's a good call. And Jimmy does the right thing here. But no way he's coming down with that. DeKisto, Jimmy, and Dylan right there. Ugh. All you got to do is don't run into him.
Yeah.
But I know what Dylan was trying to do. Dylan was making a smart move. He was trying to get a body on him, so it makes it tougher to go up. But when you're going full speed, sometimes that can be a little too much. So Dylan's a great defender. But
to be making an integrity
this was definitely the moment of the game that I was like most excited to explain, because I just can't give Jimmy enough props for this. I mean, we've already set the stage of how intense this game is, this moment is. Like everything's on the line. Yeah, like at any point, one loss could put you in 5th place and completely out of the playoffs, and one win could put you at the top of the division and you win the division. So it's like this game could make or break your entire season. And the game is so tight. And honestly, Rick Gross 2 years ago, before injury, had a pretty solid chance of getting that over all 3 people.
Yes.
But with Rick on that injury and having to recuperate from that, he's probably not going to sky those 3 guys in that situation. He's probably not coming down at that, like you said. And that was a dumb throw on my part. So dumb. I released that, and I was just me like, what on earth are you doing? And I'm pretty sure that was one of those situations that Cam was referencing where I told the whole line, like I was the one preaching to the line before the point, like nothing risky whatsoever. And it was just such a stupid throw. I was so mad at myself as soon as it went up in the air. And yeah, I mean, your guy that hit him kind of bailed us out a little bit there. He got a little overly physical, tripped Rick. And despite the situation, despite wanting the win so badly, not only does Kittleson like even just have the state of mind to stop and go over to Rick. Like first of all, you got two other players that are, of course, I'm not saying they're, nothing against them. They're excited about the point. They jog off the field. Kittleson immediately, as soon as the D happens, or sorry, not walk off the field. They get the D and they're walking to score. Kittleson turns around and goes straight to Rick to see if he's even okay, to like make sure he's not seriously injured. Like that's the first thought in his mind. That tells you what kind of guy he is. The fact that he cares about.
Klane, was this the play here?
What play?
Just get the disc and throw it as far as you can.
Oh, this was, this is a great example of the end of a game. My legs are getting tired. Let's just have a quick point and get the D line back on there. I could have put some more height on it for sure. Definitely not the play though. I don't know what the play was. The play was look upfield and hope someone's going deep.
Don't you wish we kept track of hockey assists?
Yeah. I mean,
so
see, this is another example of Bevan.
You better know. I know how many hockey
Go ahead.
I got in a game when I'm
I was just going to wrap up the Kittleson thing. I was going to say that. Then he comes over and he asks Rick, dude, are you okay? And he's like, dude, I got – and he's like, do you think you got fouled? And he did the same – dude, do you think you got fouled?
About 3 or 4 at least.
Yeah, I hit hard. And he just, like, without hesitation was like he has enough respect and trust for Rick, for his opponent, and wants to win the game in, like, the right, respectful way. Just immediately turns to the ref. And, like, stop – and, like, to have to stop your offense. Like, you guys already have the disc and are trying to go the other way. And he, like, basically stops the game to make this call. Like, you have to be bold to do that. You have to, like, really believe in what you're doing. So, just unbelievable by Kittleson. One of the amazing – actually, the most amazing event of sportsmanship I've ever seen in my athletic career.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy, and that's the kind of thing he does. And same with a lot of guys on our team. Bevan's the same way. And so, yeah. I mean that's just another reason why it's fun playing against you guys, because you can expect that, and you're not gonna expect players on a team trying to manipulate the rules or whatnot. And
hey, let's go back and watch this point again, Luke. We'll get back. Let's talk more about the Kittleson thing after the game. We'll get back to that after the game. I forgot that the score is not updated there. This is 23 all. It's going to update as you're pulling. And the wind chill have a chance to take a lead here.
Big time pull from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Carpenter going to have to receive that.
This was big. This was big. We had a really good chance on the goal line. Near the goal line.
Travis, what happened on this turnover?
So this was like a kind of an automatic like USAU type play. So Cam and Levi were both in the same cut, so they both stopped. And right as I was about to go throw it, I saw that, and I had a slight second that I could have maybe held on to it, but I felt the contact from the mark. And in USAU, that's a free throw. You release it anyway, and you call the foul because the mark's contacted you. So in my head, I'm thinking that's an automatic foul. This is a free throw. And then I forget, oh crap, we're in the AUDL, stuff like that doesn't get called a lot. And so, like I said, it was so fast and they were both in the same spot. I'm not sure if I could have held it back anyway, but that was the first thought in my head. Even as I saw the disc about to get D'd, I wasn't worried. I'm like, oh, that's a foul. And I'm like, wait, I don't get to call it. Crap. And then sure enough, the refs didn't call it.
And then wind chill's out of timeouts here.
Yeah.
Check out this
line on the field.
Look at Levi busting that he was ready to bid through the strike. That was Kittleson's last option, was that brutal strike. And that's a no stat D right there. Levi shuts down that strike. He goes as hard as he can to make sure that dude doesn't get it. And he shows Kittleson he's ready to bid. And then Keegan.
I think if he looked earlier, I think he could have hit him with that little flip up line though.
Yeah, a well placed push pass or little
either way, I mean, that point was a great example of our legs. It looked like, we kind of left Jimmy out to dry, and there was, we didn't have a lot of legs right there. And so now this, for all you kids watching, if you want to know how to run down a clock from a minute and not give the team another chance to score, this is how it's done. This is just textbook.
Nice. Travis, was the plan to score whenever you could, or was the plan to score after about 40, 45 seconds?
We all agreed that a score is a score. If we can take it, we'll get it. But we did want to run out the clock, so we said the only way we're shooting it is if a defender is literally like on the ground because they tripped or something, and there's no defense there when you huck it. Otherwise, we're going to complete a lot of passes, we're going to get close to the end zone, and we're going to take the last shot.
Look how patient you guys were until, I mean, obviously he had to make something happen right there, but I mean, you watch that whole point, and it's one cut at a time, so much discipline in the stack.
North with the disc.
Just perfect.
Hammer to Travis Carpenter.
And then thanks for warping the disc, Travis. God.
Did you give yourself a concussion, hitting yourself in the head there?
Yeah. I just kind of black out after scores. Like, I don't really remember him.
Throw it to Travis Carpenter there.
Cam picks up the disc.
Drilling yourself in the head.
We've seen.
I'm sure I've lost some brain
cells in this. 2 seconds left.
I'm an emotional player, all right?
What's going to happen here? So this is where you got to really dial in. We're going to see a tall.
Yeah, I'm not the most creative spiker. I was talking about this with my girlfriend last night. I'm not the most creative spiker. I kind of turn into a barbarian whenever I get a score that hypes me up, and I just kind of act.
I like it.
Like some caveman.
That pumped me up right now. I'm ready to play. Just watching that. No, so here, I don't know. We were talking about this earlier, but we were not very good. We didn't practice a ton in these kind of situations, these end-of-game situations. And it can be tough to decide what's the look you want in these situations. And basically, I think Cam and I were talking right here, and it wasn't like super clear what was going to happen, but one of us was going to catch it, and then we're going to try to hit the other, gain 10 to whatever, 25 yards, whatever it may be, and then get a shot to the end zone. The thing is, you'll see what happens. This is just an amazing pull and super deep.
Well, actually, before we play it, if we pause it on our defensive strategy, and you'll see it played out. Well, the first is to make sure the disc gets all the way to the end zone. Disc priority 1, hang time is not. So we're like, get it all the way to the end zone. So if they do try to rip it right off the bat, they have to make it the full field. So Nick's first priority is getting it all the way down there. And then we decided we're only going to have 2 of us that are going to run down there. One person's job is to bother the initial throw, and the second person's job is to ball hawk. If you try to make that first throw that you mentioned, like you catch it or vice versa, that's going to be an opportunity for a layout D. So that was my job. So Connor Henderson runs down to bother the first throw, and I'm sprinting down, hawking for whoever is the second person, and I'm trying to take off towards them for a layout D if you try to get that one extra pass before the huck. And then everyone else is completely in the end zone, ready for the Hail Mary.
Yeah, and I mean, this is an interesting amount of time, too, with 4 seconds, because the clock starts as soon as I touch the disc. And so basically the last thing I want is me or Cam not being able to get a shot off. And I wasn't expecting the hang time and the depth of that pull. And I see Henderson and you coming down really hot. And I kind of, mid-pull, I was like, Cam, like, I don't know if I said anything or if it was just, I kind of just said, Cam, I'm just taking it. And I just felt like that was going to be the best shot to just get a full huck off and hopefully not have a mark, straight up on me or on Cam. And so I kind of just, I don't know. I saw an opening, and I thought I could get it to the end zone, and obviously quite short, probably 10, 15 yards short. But I don't know. If looking back at it, we obviously could have done something better. But that's what it is. And
that's about as great of a second half. Hats off to Minnesota.
I don't know.
I mean, wow. It's so tough. It's so tough in that situation. Like, you have to snap a decision. So much, like, you catching that plane, you have so much pressure on you. You have all these fans screaming. You have 7 guys in gray shirts sprinting down at you. You have your teammates all looking at you and what you're going to do. Like, that's a ton of pressure to put on a single person. So it's tough to know what's the right call there in quick of a time.
Yeah. And I mean, like, that happened because of how fast Henderson got down on the pole and just the pressure and, like, all right, am I going to have an open chance to let it rip? And even then, like, I had a chance to let it rip, but I still had to get around a little bit of a mark. I couldn't really put full inside out on that. And so a lot of props. That was well played. We probably could have played it better, but that was a great win. Great win for you guys. Great game. I know after this game, we had a lot of fun at the pickle bar. Where every I don't know what it was called, but every drink
stacked
was
pickle.
Like had pickle juice infused. Stacked pickle. We had a lot of fun there, and I don't know. It's like I said before many times. It's always fun playing you guys, and I love playing against you, and it's a good time.
Yeah, man. I couldn't agree more. I love. I mean, like, both you and I are fiery competitors, and so can't we step on the field? Beat you as bad as you want to beat me. But I always think it's super fun to, like, have, like, a respect for your opponent in a way that you can have different relationships on the field and off the field. So I really like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. I mean, as competitive as you get, we always keep it playful, before, during, and after the game. There's always times where we poke fun at each other, and that's what makes Ultimate special for sure. And I don't know.
Yeah, man. Couldn't agree more.
Great stuff. Let's go back to the play with 2 minutes to go when Rick got knocked down and Jimmy Kittleson called the integrity. After the game, Josh, what conversations did you have with Jimmy about it? Travis, what conversations did you have with Rick? And I mean, was that play the thing that was talked about most after the game? Josh?
No, I think at the time we were all really wanting to win, obviously. And right when it happened, we were like, so there were some guys, I think, on our team that were like, Jimmy, why'd you do that? But then, like, once we kind of had time to think about it, and, like, I know when I saw it right away, I was like, oh yeah, he got fouled for sure. But I mean, tensions run high and you want to win. And so like you were talking about, Travis, that can be a really tough thing to do, what Jimmy did. And not everyone's going to do that. And it's kind of just, and a lot of people can look back at the game in retrospect and say, hey, okay, I should have done that. But not a lot of people can do that in the moment. And so that was really cool of Jimmy. I think, honestly, we didn't look back at that as we had a lot of chances to score. I think that point where we had it near the goal line is what we look back and say, hey, we should have executed better. And if we score that point, who knows? But definitely not that wasn't a do or die play. It was a big play, but it was the right call. And, that's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, I've always been a big believer in, like, a single play never decides a game, and a single ref call never decides a game. There's things that lead up to the ending of a game. There's so many things that could have happened to where that we wouldn't have even been neck and neck in either direction. And so in that regard, just to, like, for someone to be put in that situation and to just out what happened the rest of the game and just be like, we can win it right here if I don't make this call, it would just be so easy. And it's so cool that Jimmy's, like, has enough for the game and his opponents to be able to make that call. And yes, I mean, I talked to Rick about it a bunch. I asked him, like, exactly how it went. I'm pretty sure I made a really long Facebook, like, the following day. I was so impressed. I did not have enough words for it. It was incredible.
Travis, what about hammer to you in those final set, I guess with 4 or 5 seconds left. I mean, were you at all surprised that it came in as hot as it did, or was that exactly what you were expecting there?
Right in the bread basket.
To be honest, with the way that he threw it, and I look at the film, I think he might have been trying to throw that to Cam. I don't even think he was aiming for me. I'm pretty sure Cam would poach there, and I was just making a cut. I was just making a cut because I knew I could beat my guy. It was just kind of an instinct thing. I'm not even sure, honestly, if I was in the part of the stack where I should have been cutting due to the system. And yeah, I was the whole time as the at me, all I could think of was hold on to this. So I grab it so tight and I focus on putting my legs down that I just like collapse to the ground. Like I don't even, yeah, I'm pretty sure he was aiming for Cam.
Yeah.
And I just like,
Cam was wide open.
Yeah. Wow.
Definitely just stole Cam's goal. And I had no idea Cam was back there until I watched film. I was just, I head spiked, I lost brain cells. And so I didn't even see Cam behind me when that happened. But yeah, that was my only thought in my head was don't let this go. Don't lose it. So that was funny. Keegan just texted me as I was throwing to Cam. That's so good.
Yeah, you could see him hesitate a couple of times because I think he was like he wanted you to get out. You know, he saw Cam cutting open, and he's like,
If I had to guess, what I would guess happened there when he cocked it back the first time, Cam was starting to leave the space, and then Cam came back, and that's probably why Cam got that separation from his defender. And then right as he cocks, I think I was staring right at Keegan, and I thought, oh, he wants me to cut there. But he was really he was waiting for Cam to turn around. And so I saw that motion from Keegan, and I was like, he needs someone. I'm going. Just ran right in front of Cam.
Hey,
Cam
Travis,
only has about 350 more goals than you in his career, so you could afford to take one from him, I think.
That's fair.
You got to catch up.
Go ahead, Josh.
Hey, Travis, I think Luke has a good video for you coming up. Maybe some good video.
This is the play. This is the play we were referencing earlier, where Klane and I were in the contest earlier. He makes a hard bid, and I can't believe that throw worked. You make a hard bid, and I really thought it was a foul, and just complete respect integrity call. Yeah. Both tell it's such a heated moment, right? And we both immediately wait, what? And then we just immediately come back to hold on a second, let's think here, and we both want to respect each other, make the right call. It was a nice bid, dude. Yeah, I wanted to had space because you landed below me, and I tried to jump over you. So I didn't hurt you. I didn't want to land on your head, and so that caused me to drop the disc. So that's why I wanted the call.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. It's just like in the NBA. You got to give someone the chance to come down.
So what was the final call on that play?
Josh gave me the
integrity foul.
And what's funny is
layout D.
The defense could.
I only get so many layout Ds in my life.
The defense could pick that up and start going. And what's funny is there's no stopping. Really plays. Everyone's watch Josh and I talk for seconds. So that's kind of funny because anyone on your team could have ran up and grabbed that and started moving, and we would have been screwed.
Yeah.
But it was you and I we're both captains. You're probably the one picking up that disc anyway off the turn. So it kind of gave us a unique opportunity, a brief 5-10 second moment to have a quick chat and make the right call. Whereas sometimes you don't get that opportunity. So that was kind of a unique situation.
No, I would much rather lose a game where the right call was made and, just like Jimmy did, than win a game with an asterisk and not in neither team thinking that, the team that won actually deserved to win. So,
yeah, I was going to read a little bit of the back and forth I had with Jimmy Kittleson after the game, and just here's what he said. And a few minutes before the foul, Rick Gross had commented to me how good a game it was, to which I responded, "This is super fucking fun." Pardon my language. We've been playing against each other for years, and I respect Gross as a fair player. So I told him, if you think that was a foul, I'll call integrity. He responded he got decked, so he called integrity. Not much more to it. And then he said, in the moment, I was just thinking I want to beat these guys without any controversy. And
Boom.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Boom.
One other interesting thing about this game and just kind of the lens of where it came during the season, obviously it was an awesome game, went down to the wire, virtual buzzer beater, interesting controversy, good narratives with the integrity, and two teams neck and neck for first place. And this was like the third game that I wrote about in the Tuesday toss that week, because this was the same exact day as New York and Raleigh going to double overtime, and Pittsburgh beating Madison in overtime. And 111 game history of the Radicals franchise, Madison fell below 100 as it fell to 4-5 that day. So, I mean, there were some real thrilling weekends last year in the AUDL, but not to diminish the game that you guys played, obviously, because it had a lot to it and went down to the wire. Klane, what were your, as you look back on the 2019 wind chill season, what are the things that, keep you awake at night, if anything, about how things transpired and, the types of things that, okay, we got to get this right for 2020, assuming we get to actually play this year?
I think the season overall was really enjoyable. We didn't win as many games as we wanted to, and we didn't make the playoffs, obviously, but we had a really, really good time. And bringing the Canadians on board, it was just a really fun year, and I feel like we overachieved, and that felt good. I'd say, looking back, there was one game that we kind of just threw a dud, and it was the Pittsburgh game at Pittsburgh, and we just did not bring anything to that game. And obviously, looking back at the season, every game interdivisionally mattered. But I don't know. I think we got a few really awesome pieces to add on with Raider and Matsuka this year, and Rocco Linehan from Boston. And so we feel pretty confident in us continuing to build as a team. And obviously it's been tough during this quarantine, but we have a lot of confidence in what we can do this year, and we're really excited to show it. So trying to take that.
Raider and Matsuka both on D. I mean, obviously plenty could change between now and when you play a game, but how have you thought about it?
So right now we see Brett kind of leading the charge on D with the disc, and in practice it's been pretty effective, and he's brought a really good set. Like once on the, I mean, he plays good D. He's not like the best defensive player in the world, but he plays solid D, and then his real weapon is on the turn and what he can do on the turn and what he can do to run an offense on the turn. And so he's been really good, really effective in practice for that matter. Raider is plain O. He's too good. He's too valuable. I mean, obviously there'll be times where we probably cross him over, but we're definitely not gonna. We feel like last year he the team he played for may have ran him into the ground a little bit too much with how much they played him, and so we're trying to keep him fresh and very effective, and so you'll see him a lot. I know. We also picked up Nick Vogt and Beef as well, which are going to be huge additions.
Over under 1.5 is the over under. Games all time that Mark Lloyd plays for the wind chill.
Well, what did I'd say under. I'd say under.
I mean, maybe you get if 2 games in Winnipeg over the next 3 years. I don't know.
I'd say there's a 85% chance of every game that's played in Winnipeg that he plays.
Nice. Travis, obviously the AlleyCats. Travis, one thing I was curious to ask you coming into tonight. You went to championship weekend, obviously, and you won the division. Do you think of it as your first division title or your second? Because I think technically in 2012, the AlleyCats won the division too. But, I mean, is that even in your process right now, or was this the AlleyCats' first division title? Do we mute Travis?
Travis.
Yeah.
Now we got you.
All right.
Get with it.
Sorry about that. Now, so I would definitely consider it our, but it, no question, it did not have the same feeling. Just the amount of work that went behind this one. I mean, the 2012 year, we had so many players I had never even met before, never heard of, because it was the first year of the AUDL, and the AlleyCats were probably the most publicized team of any of them, especially with Brody playing. And we're coming from all over the place to try out for the team. And we had a guy from Montreal on the team. We had guys. We had some guys. We had a guy from North Carolina. I mean, it was just like we had people from all over the place on the team, and and it didn't really feel like an in team, to be honest. So it definitely did not have the same feel. Although I do think that was still an earned division title. I mean, like, we had a tough division, we had good teams, and we fought hard to get that win and to win that division. Now, I mean, this one, there's a core group of guys that have been in Indy working for this for so long. There is, like, 5 years. There's like a bunch of us that have been playing together, and so the amount of work, time, blood, sweat, and tears put into this, it just feeling wasn't even comparable to making it to championship weekend for this one versus 2012.
Do you fully plan to outlast Cam and Keenan as an original AlleyCat?
Oh, of course. Those 2 old men, they're going to break long before I retire. Absolutely.
I mean, they're both in their 30s right now, whereas you have several years to go before you get there. So you've got the advantage in that department.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that one. I think I got that on lock.
Obviously, a championship weekend, you got to play the team that won it all. And final score, man, it looked like a really close game. I'm not sure how close you felt it actually was playing in it. I'm sure you've watched the film on that several times. What are your kind of big takeaways from the championship weekend experience overall and playing against New York?
Well, I think for our team, even though we may not have necessarily said it out loud, I think kind of the unspoken unanimous thing on the team was that championship weekend to us was more or less a celebration of the season and of winning the division title. I think a lot of us knew that we had very chances of beating New York. I think we started to watch some film of them like the week leading up to it, and we kind of realized, they're not invincible. They make some dumb else, and like they have some weak points. Like, it's not impossible. So not like we necessarily went into the game thinking it was impossible, but we all knew it was unlikely, and we were more so, I think, celebrating the championship weekend because of that upset or anything that we lost, and I wasn't expecting to beat New York, and I had a blast that weekend. That game was fun, but I will say that was one of the worst games New York played all season. And they actually gave us a really good opportunity to beat them. And I'm kind of bummed because, like, had we game planned a little bit more specifically for them, and had we been a little more focused on that game, we might have been able to sneak in to the championship there because win. But like I said, we were just like, we put all our eggs in the basket of winning the division. You know, like that's what we were focused on. So like we didn't even look about what that would be like until right after we won the division. And then you turn around a week or two later and you go to championship weekend. So like our actual stats, the game plan and stuff like that was pretty short. We didn't really plan ahead for that instance. We were just so focused on winning the division.
Fair enough. This has been awesome. Before we go, let's make sure we get the terms of the wager clear and so everybody knows them. My understanding is it the first the next time the Wind Chill and AlleyCats play, no matter where it is, whenever it is, that's the game that the result is deciding on. And after that game, for the rest of the regular season, if Minnesota wins, Travis has to warm up in a 2 Klanes t-shirt. And if Indy wins, Josh, you got to warm up in a Keenan Blue.
Perfect. That's it.
Is that right?
Shake on it.
Oh, wait. I got to get in the camera. There we go.
There we go. All right, it's official.
Deal.
Hey, Travis.
Yeah.
All
I don't know why my internet sucks tonight.
Is enjoy that division title while it lasts, okay? Enjoy it.
It's going to be nice sitting on that for 2 years straight. I'm looking forward to it.
Enjoy it. Just enjoy it.
So here's a out of left field question for both of you, and I'm really curious to hear your answer. What are your expectations for the 2020 or 2021, whenever we get to play again, hopefully 2020? What are your expectations for the Madison Radicals? They dominated y'all for a long time. They had an off year, 2019. What kind of bounce back season, if any, do you expect from the boys in Madison?
Are they going to be? Are they a good team? And are they going to be really tough to play? Absolutely. I think you can bank on that. But are they the team that we once viewed them as? Absolutely not. No way. That time came to an end last year, and all the little brothers in the division had enough, and we said we're not doing this anymore. And so they're going to be good. They're going to be good. They still have great players, but no way. It's the division is up for grabs, and there is no dominating team anymore. And I hope they're listening. I hope Colin's listening. I hope KPS is listening, because they're not the team they used to be, and they're not going to be this year.
Yeah, I think once they lost a bunch of those core players, kind of some edge was taken off, some kind of intimidation was taken off a bit. They had that group of guys that played together so long, and they're all a bunch of them are retiring now or leaving or whatever, and so there's only a few of them left now that were a part of that crew that won the championship and played in the years before that. And so yeah, I agree with Klane. I don't think they're the same team anymore. I think they're a little bit of a wild card just because Madison has a lot of really good ultimate, and they constantly have good young players coming up. So like you never know when they're going to get. I mean, it could be next year they get it together again like that functions well together, and a bunch of like really great players. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to think that they're going to be going for that division title, and they have just as much chance as anyone else. But I don't view them as the kind of dominant team anymore. They're not the big dogs anymore.
Yeah, I think their biggest advantage was the fear factor, and the intimidation, and like their dominance at Bree Stevens. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe you'll get maybe one win at home against them, but you're not winning 1 or 2 games at Bree Stevens. And I think after we won there last year, and then you guys went and won there. I think that the mentality of the fear of going there and going against them is gone. And I agree with you, Travis. I think they could be a really, really, really good team with really young players, but we're not scared anymore. So, it's up. Yeah. It's anything can happen.
That's the best way to say it. I agree.
Same question, but replace Madison Radicals with a Chicago Wildfire. What are your expectations from Chicago next season?
Who? The only expectations I have for Chicago, is not a ton of integrity calls, manipulating the rules to their advantage, and a lot of bad bids. And that's all I really expect out of Chicago.
Wow.
Boom. Except for a few. I love Ross. I love Jack Shanahan.
Everyone
those are nice guys. Dirty. Yeah, there's a lot of dirty guys on that team.
I love brothers.
Of course, Wyatt and Sam. Now, maybe I do like them now that they have Wyatt and Sam, some great alums. So,
yeah, dude, I'm about them. I think they relied on Raider pretty heavily last year, and I think losing him is going to hurt them real bad. I just think they're not deep enough. I thought I heard Pavel talk about retiring at one point, so who knows if that dude's even focused, ready to play. We'll see. He just started this intense training resume, whatever, a week ago or something, and I don't think he's going to be ready.
I feel like he's got a lot to do before he retires, although I will say I told him that when he retires, maybe he could join me in the broadcast booth, so maybe that'll get him to retire faster. I don't know.
Yep. Maybe this year I'll just guard Pop. It'll be this weird thing where suddenly his stats will drop, and we'll have to figure out what happened. He finally has a high level defender on him.
Final question for each of you tonight. If 100% is mid-season, super healthy, feeling good, what percentage shape are you each in right now?
I'm going to say 70%, 75%.
I'm trending up. I'm trending up.
From what?
Well, I'd say there was a 2 or 3 week period where I was drinking a lot of White Claws and not leaving the couch much. But I've really turned it around the last 3 weeks. So Travis and I actually were just chatting today, texting each other about what we're doing, long distance running and some other things. But I'd say probably 80% right now. I'm feeling really, really good right now.
Good stuff. I'm trending up too, but I got a long way to go. Thursday night
trending
rewind
up, not out.
Thursday night rewind presented by Deschutes, also trending up. And I thank both Josh Klane and Travis Carpenter for being with me here tonight. We'll obviously be back next Thursday as we try to figure out what's happening in this crazy world of ours. Josh and Travis, thank you so much.
Thank you. Had a great time.
Appreciate all who have been with us tonight. The entire AUDL, for our producer Luke Johnson. For Josh and Travis, I'm Evan.